My lords, I found them on patrol. At this time, Ao hadn't gotten his proud eyes. He was just a relatively good perception ninja who was good at scouting. Under Yugura, few people had better perception than him. So, approaching the coast, he sensed the position of the patrol team. Oh? Say it quickly. Ghost Lamp Qian Ren hurriedly said. After listening, he was overjoyed. I have to admit that although Yugura is against himself, he does things for Kirigakure. They are so stubborn that they even sent an expert to come over, and they are very considerate. Let me see. We can go through this route, and according to their patrol gap, there will be such a gap. The puffer ghost took out a map and figured it out, and found a route. Ching is a little worried. He watched for a while, and couldn't help saying. Although this route can be avoided, once it is killed, Konoha's ninjas will be able to outflank our rear. We've already reached Mount Nagano, so of course we'll have a good time killing them. Who wants to leave? Marashi Jinba looked at the fool's expression. Really? The people brought by Yugura have the same characteristics as Yugura. They ignored Ching's opinion. Ghost Lamp Qianran thought for a moment, then waved his hand, and continued on to the established route. Kyochi saw them going to the mouth of the urn, and knew that this group of people had entered the game. And, judging from the situation of the 7 people, he roughly calculated the perception range of the 8 people. It's about the same distance as the limit of white eyes. He immediately passed the news back. Can't go wrong. The 7 people never expected that when they rushed forward, there was another person following them, and the road ahead seemed to be smooth, but in fact, all designed by the enemy. If Yugura is here, he will definitely find something wrong. It's a pity that Yugura is still running behind. The 7 swordsmen plunged in without any hesitation, and rushed all the way to Nagano Mountain. There were only 2 ninja patrolling on the road, Bai Yunzao and Might Dai. Of course it was on purpose. However, how would the 7 swordsmen know? 2 people patrolling? Ghost Lamp Qian Ren frowned. Judging from the aura, one of them is Jonin, and the other aura is unknown. The possibility of physical Jonin cannot be ruled out. 2 Jonin. The puffer ghost is in a tangle. Killing 2 Jonins, of course, they are not satisfied, but they have to admit that Konoha's defense is impenetrable, and there are patrols in this empty line, and there are still 2 Jonins. This reassures him instead. He pondered for a while, and said, it's not bad to kill 2 Jonins, or kill them first, and then adapt to the situation later. Also, the 7 swordsmen no longer hesitated. This is so reckless. Kyochi used chakra perception as he walked, sighing inwardly. The 7 swordsmen are the real expansion, to be honest. 7 knives built together may be comparable to a cage level, but the cage level in the vast ninja world is nothing at all. You have to die or die. Kyochi hangs behind, stuck in Ao's range of perception. Followed for a while, he frowned slightly. Is there another person behind? The breadth and intensity of this chakra. Yugura. He quickly summoned Katsuyu, using the Katsuyu clone to communicate with the Katsuyu clone that had been placed on the other patrol team earlier. There is another one behind the 7 swordsmen, the distance is. Pay attention to intercept later. Yes. All patrols receive the message. Uchiha Yatsushiro was very surprised. He knew that Kyochi had a high status, but he didn't expect that he even got the contract of the Wet Bone Forest. And rice fire. He looked at Yudai and other clansmen, feeling a little disappointed in his heart. Even Inahara knew after some investigation that Kyochi was very popular in the village, and they really didn't seem to care about the outside world. Isshin was content with Uchiha's past glory. Too far behind. Kyochi has no control over what they think. Yugura came after him. So, the battle situation has changed again. They must resolve the fight as quickly as possible. Kyochi quickly rushed to Might Dai's side, and at this time, Might Dai and Bai Yun were already very close to the 7 swordsmen in the morning. At night, misty. Mist shinobi surgery is difficult to detect. But Hyuga vines are behind them in the morning of white clouds. Master in the morning, the fog in front is distributed by chakra. I suspect it may be the mist shinobi technique. It is good. The idea of the 7 swordsmen may be the same as before, to attack the base camp if they have the opportunity, and leave if they don't have the opportunity to kill a few people, which is a demonstration. But they don't know that in addition to tactics, guerrilla warfare also requires very sophisticated intelligence. I have chakra perception, white eyes. What about you? You can only get its shape, not its marrow. Isn't this a gift? No wonder Yugura rushed over in such a hurry. He probably sensed that something was wrong, but unfortunately, he didn't expect the 7 swordsmen to rush to find death, all the way blinking, and the speed was full. After a while, he didn't catch up. Then don't give it a chance. Be careful. Bai Yun reminded in a low voice in the morning. Might Dai nodded slightly. He's a little nervous. Although I have been a ninja for more than 20 years, most of them used to perform escort and logistical work. This is the first time that I have participated in the Battle of Jonin. But soon he will not be nervous, because the 7 swordsmen have started. The fog is gone. Then he beheaded with a broadsword. Loquat Shizang took the lead. The assassination target he chose was Might Dai. Be careful. Bei Yun drew a knife in the morning to help, but at this moment, a knife waved over, and it was still burning with the light of an explosion. Explosive knife spray. Also, and a huge axe. 2 men took aim at him, while the others all rushed towards Might Dai. The 7 swordsmen believed that Might Dai was relatively weak, and wanted to kill Might Dai with one blow first. Behind, Hyuga Vine got up anxious and rushed over here. However, before he could take a few steps, he saw the terrifying chakra erupting from Might Dai. This is 8 inner gates. Hyuga Fuji thought of a message. 3rd generation unlocked 2 forbidden techniques, one called 8 inner gates and the other called respiratory activity. And 8 gate. The creator, it seems, is Might Dai. It's him. Drink. Might Dai opened the 6th gate and disappeared in the original position in an instant. Afterwards, the shadow of his fist slashed at one person like a storm. Boom, boom. Loquat Shizang reacted very quickly. He moved the beheading knife back and barely blocked Might Dai's fist. However, Might Dai's force was too strong, and the fist was too fast, giving him no time to fight back. There was a harsh collision sound, and gradually, Might's fists turned into flames. To the peacock. Help me. Loquat Shizang's eyes flashed with horror. What kind of technique is this? Can't stop it at all. Needless to say, the ghost lamp Thousand Blade has already arrived. He stood in front of Loquat Tenzang, and his body was hydrated. Although he was smashed to pieces by the fist in an instant, the most important thing here was water. In an instant, he reappeared. The strength of the ghost lamp family is here. Might Dai panted for a while, bypassed him, and quickly went to kill Loquat Shizang. He doesn't understand tactics, but he knows how to fight. Stare at a person and beat him. And Kyochi has arrived. Help me. There was a shrill cry for help from behind. However, the next moment, the cry for help stopped abruptly. Kyochi Wind-style chakra mode, body flicker technique, and earth spear are fully open. How can Yicheng's kunai and shuriken not dodge or dodge at all, and directly draw the sword technique to slash over? One knife. When the light and shadow are wrong, the figure moves forward. Ching, Dai. Until the end, Kyochi didn't recognize him, but felt that this face was familiar, and it seemed to have a similar appearance in anime, but it doesn't matter anymore. Dead people have no future. He sheathed the chakra and held 2 swords in both hands. Puffer fish ghost seal. Thousands of hair needles. Countless hairs formed thousands of hairs and swept towards Kyochi, but it was useless at all. The earth spear and wind-style chakra mode swept away all these hairs. Even if the hair falls to the ground and punctures. But still not broken, he doesn't seem to be afraid of general attacks. The puffer ghost slipped away immediately, and ran to cooperate with the siege of Bai Yunzhao. Can't stop it. This technique is an earthen spear, right? I'll do it. The black Ho Lei Ya grinned. Double knife made a mistake, the thunder and lightning converged, and then a piece of thunder covered it forward. However, his lightning is blocked by wind-style chakra mode. And knife drawing technique vacuum sword. A sword. The wind-style chakra condensed to ultimate swept everything, swallowing the thunder and air, turning them into a vacuum. Follow closely. Whoosh. A jet of high-pressure water flew out from the sword, and along with the wind-style chakra that hadn't dissipated, turned into a jet of tornado water. Thousand Blades. Ghost Lamp Qian Ren scolded his mother. On horseback. Might just passed you, but Kyochi, who is new here, still has to wait for him to deal with. His arm muscles exploded. Grand water wrist technique. Follow closely. Boom. A knife collided, but failed to block the high-pressure water jet, and a hole was directly shot out of the arm. Good thing it's hydrated. He fends off Kyochi, and Might Dai has a chance. 7th gate, open. What Kyochi said before flashed through his mind. The 8 inner gates need to cooperate with special physical skills. If you go above the 7th gate, you may be able to use punches and air to complete more powerful physical skills. That's right. Shocking door day tiger. The puffer ghost immediately came over, and Samahata slashed at the day tiger with a knife. This trick works everywhere. The tacit understanding among the 7 swordsmen is also the reason for their strength. However, this is not ninjutsu. Boom. Samahata of Pufferfish Ghost was instantly sent flying, while he was in a daze, and the next moment he was devoured by the day tiger. A trace of panic flashed in the eyes of the rest of the 7 swordsmen. Especially behind the puffer ghost, the few people who were planning to besiege Kyoshi fled in an instant, and had no intention of saving the puffer ghost at all. How to save? Even Samahada couldn't stop this technique, and they couldn't do anything about it, and at this moment, the puffer ghost's body had already turned into blood mist. For a while, the scene was chaotic, and no one cared about Kyoshi. Next second. 100 healings mark solution. Baihao technique. Then, open the door, open. Kyoshi didn't use the 7-day calling method, and he didn't need this to deal with the 7-knife crowd. The current buff is already full. Next moment. The figure flashed and headed towards Li Shuang Chuanwen. It was really difficult for Baiyun to block 2 or 3 in the morning. Even if he used the vacuum sword to temporarily force him back, he would still be in danger under the steel wire mesh of the stitches. That being the case, I will kill you first. There was a sneer on Li Xiaochuanwen's face. There is my wire trap here. The sharpness is not even that of an earthen spear. For a moment, his smile froze. When these steel wires touched Kyoshi, they were broken by the powerful chakra airflow. Strange power technique, wind-style chakra. Although it is not an increase in punch power, the principle of usage is similar. The steel wire is instantly destroyed. Boom. Marashi Jinba exploding knife kept exploding, helping Kuri Satsumaru to retreat, and he was about to run, but when his scroll exploded, it deviated slightly. Subsequently, boom, he himself was bombed. What happened? Wooly Shiba looked at a loss. He has been using explosive knives for many years, and he has never lost control. How is this possible? Of course not out of control for no reason. Shiki paper dance. Although it has not been tempered by its own chakra, it cannot be controlled precisely, but it can still be done by making it deviate a little bit. Just such a little bit is enough to change the situation of the battle. Next moment. The twin swords flashed like flying swallows spreading their wings. As soon as the light was wrong, Wooly Shibajao and the arm with the knife each had an extra bloodstain. Li Xiaochuanwen didn't expect his old partner to fall so quickly. And in just 2 seconds before and after, the battle situation has undergone a completely different change. The puffer ghost is dead. Wooly's life and death are unknown. The other 4. F*K. All gone. He scolded his mother from the bottom of his heart, threw down a detonating talisman for cover, and retreated instantly. But in Kyoshi's soil spear state, he is not afraid of the explosion at all, and he directly shuttles through the explosion and catches up in an instant. Li Shuangchuanwen can only resist it with stitches. But one knife blocks it. What about the other knife? Not to mention, with a movement of his finger, Kyoshi successfully released the illusion with the help of the faint explosion flame. Next moment. Boom. He was kicked by Kyoshi with a strange force, and kicked directly to the back from this side. There is Yamanaka Hayi and them over there. Kill crazy. Yamanaka was dumbfounded. He knows Kyoshi is good. But unexpectedly, in front of Kyoshi, Might Dai and Bai Yunzao, the 7 swordsmen were just a matter of killing and breaking up with a few moves. Do not. To be precise, only Kyoshi and Might wear it. Baiyun even used the breathing activation technique in the morning, but he could barely block the attacks of 2 people, while Kyoshi and Might Dai were fighting 4 or 5 by themselves. Livestock. On the coast, Uchiha Yatsushiro and others made up 3 or 4 teams to resist Yugura together. At the beginning, Yudai felt that he could do it alone. As it turns out, he can't. Not only did he fail to block, he was almost killed by the enraged Yugura. If Katsuyu hadn't rescued him, his life might have been lost. Damn it. You all die for me. Yugura was furious to the extreme. Ant-like things, blocked again and again. If it is too late, the 7 swordsmen may be expelled. 4 or 5 teams rushed up. He stretched out his hand, turning into a water mirror. Then, several figures rushed out, but this wasn't the key ultimate move. In a flash, the hook at the tip of the long stick instantly hooked a person's neck. Yugura is crazy. Because he sensed 4 people fleeing this way. 4. 7 swordsmen plus Ching, now only 4 alive. A group of Konoha shinobi surrounded them and cut off the retreat of the remaining 4 of the 7 swordsmen. Yugura thought he was strong, but he didn't dare to provoke so many people. He was already desperate. This group of mentally retarded, how dare they go deep alone? I am afraid. Escape at most 1. Yugura guessed right. The 7 swordsmen are being chased crazily. Kyoshi and Might Dai are chasing all the way behind, and the front army is encircled. But for a moment, Loquat Shizang died. He was already hit partly by the peacock. It is not easy to run here after being seriously injured. After arriving here, Might Dai caught up and solved it. But at this time, Might Dai is also at the end of his strength. If it wasn't for Kyoshi treating him with the Katsuyu technique in the camp, he wouldn't be able to survive at all. Simultaneously, Totsukusa no Hito was beheaded by the Kyoshi sword. Ghost Lamp Thousand Blades despaired. He looked at the back, looked at the front again, made a decision in his heart, jumped into the river and turned into liquid, and he didn't dare to escape directly, but followed the water to seep into the underground water vein. He is much stronger than Ghost Lantern Thousand Views. Very decisive, sell as soon as possible. Lei Ya was dumbfounded by some operations, and Kyoshi was also stunned. He had no idea that Ghost Lamp Qian Ren was so obsessed, and even ran underground to sell his teammates. How about guarding against yourself? This is really out of reach. But he soon understood why. The Ghost Lamp family has mastered the secret method of summoning 7 knives. Not to mention that Ghost Lamp Qianren ran back. Even if he didn't run away, the Ghost Lamp clan would probably still be able to summon the 6 knives back. Unless limited. Kyoshi thought about it for a moment, and didn't bother with Ghost Lamp Thousand Blades anymore, but cancelled the Earth Spear and dealt with the Black Hoe Thunderfang with all his strength. Thunderfang is not weak. In the anime, Might is one of the survivors who opened the 8 Gate to fight for his life. However, now, Ghost Lamp Qian Ren escaped through the water veins, and he was the only one left. The Black Hoe Lei Ya wields the Thunder Knife. Thunder Rolls. Thunder Banquet. But this time, Kyoshi was not used. Bai Yun, who was chasing up, swung his sword in the morning, and the vacuum sword directly cancelled the effect of the Feast of Thunder. Next moment, Kyoshi spits out a wind blade. The double swords bless vacuum sword, and at this time, his swordsmanship has also been changed to Feion. From the rear, the Konoha shinobi kept approaching and consumed them with ninjutsu, while the Hyugas rolled their eyes, as if preparing to wound themselves with gentle fist. A trace of despair flashed in Lei Ya's eyes. He has 2 swords facing the sky. Blazing thunder condensed in the sky. Then, it turned into a thunderbolt and fell from the sky. Kyoshi couldn't tell the difference, so he could only seal the seal and use the earth flow wall to separate the current. However, the thunder did not kill him, but blasted on Lei Ya himself. Lightning-style Lei burial. Thunder fell and devoured everything. He held a grand funeral for himself, leaving nothing but 2 knives, and the remaining power of thunder and lightning completely destroyed the surrounding area. If it is not blocked by the earth flow wall, Kyoshi will also be affected. And just now. If it goes further, Kyoshi may have to wait for Shadow Clone to save himself at this time. After all, no matter how strong Senju's physique is, there is a limit, and this thunder can't stand it at all. Far away. Yagura saw this grand thunder burial, and sensed the disappearance of the 3 breaths, and immediately knew what happened. The 7 swordsmen are gone. At this moment, there is only despair in his heart. There are not many Kirigakure masters. After so many years, only a few such as myself and the 7 swordsmen have emerged. Although the rest have Jonin and Elite Chunin, they can't take on the big responsibility. Now all gone. Although there is still a Ghost Lamp Thousand Blade alive, but to be honest, he would rather the Ghost Lamp Thousand Blade die. It's not this force. Where are there so many things? At this time, Immortal, Ghost Lamp Thousand Blade emerged from the sea. Go. Ghost Lamp Qian Ren didn't know whether it was exhaustion or guilty conscience, and he lost the confidence to speak. In Yagura's heart, he wished to tear him apart, but at this time he had to maintain his sanity. As he stepped back, he made seals with both hands. Then the sea surged, and endless waves came towards the big earth coiling. Ghost Lamp Qianren didn't send a single blow, and only cared about running for his life. A stern look flashed in Yagura's eyes. Under the cover of bursting water and rushing waves, he successfully evacuated 8 generations of adults. Let him go, this man is too strong, we are no match to catch up. Uchiha Yatsushiro's tone was bitter. Yagura is strong. Chakra is powerful, and every kind of water-style ninjutsu is used perfectly. It is not their ability match at all. He couldn't imagine it at the moment. How on earth did Kyoshi manage to get the 4 of them back and forth on Mist Shinobi's side? But it didn't take long for him to know why. Evacuating from the seaside, Uchiha Yatsudai saw a mess, except for Lei Ya and Ziguishan Puffer Ghost, who had no bones left, and 4 other members of the 7 swordsmen. Among them, Wooly Jinpachi, Lee Sage Kushimaru, and Hetong Kusanagi were captured alive. The most outrageous thing is that there are only 3 participants. What record is this? It's outrageous. He couldn't believe it, but the facts couldn't fool anyone, and at this moment, Kyoshi seemed to be restraining 6 knives. Seeing Uchiha Yatsushiro, Kyoshi smiled and said, Yachiya Senpai is guarding the position going out to sea. I wonder if you blocked the ghost lamp Chiba. I can't stop him from Yagura. Yudai was ashamed. Kyoshi fulfilled the promise of 3 players to fight 7, and he even cooperated with Konoha's 3 teams, but failed to beat Yagura and left Ghost Lamp Thousand Blade. In terms of performance, the gap is really a bit big. Didn't stop it? Kyoshi smiled and waved his hand. It's okay. Yagura is said to be a competitor of the next generation of Mizukage. The strength is very strong, it's normal for you to lose. Thank you Kyoshi-sama for your generosity. Seems like comfort. But for Uchiha, those words were more damaging than consolation. Yatsushiro felt worse than death in his heart. Master Kyoshi, what shall we do now? Bai Yun helped in the morning and collected other ninja knives. Seal the 6 knives first, to prevent Mist Shinobi from having any means of getting them back. This is our trophy. Where is the sealing class? Exist. Hello to all the sealing techniques of the meeting. Kyoshi said that sealing techniques were applied to each knife, and then waited for the sealing team to apply the sealing techniques they knew, and then wrapped them with a huge scroll and added a bunch of sealing techniques outside. After, he summons out Katsuyu and asks him to help store things in the wet bone forest. Konoha was not handed over. Take this thing away from Konoha. Maybe it will be meat buns to beat dogs. Kyoshi is also thinking about smelting a few knives to forge a handy weapon. As for the grass pheasant sword, which swordsman can resist the temptation of a good sword? If he wanted the ninja sword, he also had to find the grass pheasant sword. I want it all. Somewhere on an island where the Mist Shinobi ninjas are stationed. Yagura and Ghost Lantern Chianren escaped for a long way, and finally felt safe here, so they stopped for a while. Ghost Lamp Chinba dare not look at Yagura. Yagura took a deep breath and said, the others are all dead? There are 3 people on the other side, and one of them seems to have used the forbidden technique, a technique that does not use chakra. The puffer ghost used Samahata to resist and failed. And also, Ghost Lamp Chianren's eyes were blank, and he talked about this to himself. Yagura felt his veins twitch violently, and said angrily, I don't want to hear this, so you just say, are the others dead? I have no idea. Ghost Lamp Chinba bowed his head. Yagura took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in his heart. Where's the knife? No, I don't care about it. Ghost Lamp Chianren stuttered, and he felt a strong killing intent. I remember you guys were able to summoning 7 knives. Yes, within the clan. It's useless, a piece of trash. What are you doing back alive? No matter how good-tempered Yagura was, he couldn't help but explode at this moment, slamming every word, and his words were full of murderous intent. What the hell? I can't even catch up with myself. Gaidong Chianren took the 7 swordsmen to die, but in the end he came back alive alone. If he didn't know that the Ghost Lantern clan would not betray, he would have thought that Ghost Lantern Chianren was the inner ghost. Listen to my explanation. At that time, Yagura stretched out his hand, and the sealing technique unfolded. Ghost Lamp Chianren didn't react, and was directly imprisoned by him, and the flounder was also confiscated by him. Go back to the village and explain to the higher-ups. At night, the lights of the Hokage building are still on. Hiruzen, the battle situation is very dangerous now, we can't attack so boldly, just maintain the situation in the east, at least until. Mitokado Homura said worriedly in the office. Next moment. Boom. With a loud bang, Tsunade kicked the door straight in. Third generation rubbed his temples, headache. A Mitokado Homura is tough enough, but now there is another Tsunade, which seems to have to be mixed again. He got up and was about to scold. Tsunade slapped a scroll on the table. Actually, according to Tsunade's idea, it would be more imposing to knock down the desk with this palm, but thinking that she might use the desk in the future, she endured it. The older generation's whining, old man, see for yourself. Tsunade glanced at Mitokado Homura with contempt and disdain in his eyes. Pointing fingers all day long, do you understand war? WTF. Third generation was stunned for a moment, and then immediately thought that the information that Tsunade would handle must be an important battle report from Kyoshi. He waved his hand to signal Mitokado Homura to shut up. Then, he picked up the scroll and opened it. At a cursory glance, third generation's breathing was stagnant, and he was almost so happy that he didn't come back. Ahem. 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 Hiruzen, what's wrong Hiruzen? I just said. Mitokado Homura anxiously relieved him. He thought Sarutobi Hiruzen was angry and was about to reprimand Tsunade, but he glanced and saw the battle report saying. Kirigakure led a surprise attack on the eastern border with 7 men who endured swords, but was blocked by Kyoshi Kanda, Might Dai, and Baya Yunzao. 4 of them were beheaded and 3 were captured alive. The Ghost Lamp family is hard to catch. This is the consensus of the ninja world. The last time Kyoshi caught Ghost Chikage alive was an exception, so it is not surprising that Ghost Chiba escaped, but what is unexpected is that 3 people killed 7 people. Are you kidding me? He opened his mouth and was speechless for a long time. I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. I agreed to let you discuss the plan with him, because I believed that Kyochi's ability would not be at a disadvantage. In the end, he directly took over half of the Eastern Conference. Third generation is somewhat incoherent, he is so excited. Each of the 7 swordsmen uses a ninja sword, which can pose a huge threat to their ninja troops with mist shinobi and assassination techniques. With those 7 dead, the Kirigakure border threat fell by more than half. Hey, I don't quite understand your generation. You are obviously very strong, but you are so cowardly. The 3 villages are besieged. We must find a way to break the game. If you don't fight Kirigakure, don't you want to eat Cloud Shinobi Village first? Tsunade cast a cold glance. Mitokado Homura was silent. In the face of the facts, saying anything is useless. He looked at the battle report and couldn't believe it in his heart, but the facts were more convincing than anything else, not to mention that there was Yamanaka Hayi's seal on it. Yamanaka could never have lied about such a thing. The third generation is speechless. Tsunade was not just talking about Mitokado Homura, he was talking about him, but he had nothing to say. Third generation held the battle report, excited and delighted. After a long time, he patted the table lightly, looked at Mitokado Homura and said, "Old friend, otherwise you go to the front line." Mitokado Homura was stunned for a long time. He looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, then at Tsunade. Seeing Tsunade panicked and desperate, he smiled wryly and said, "Maybe I'm really old, that's all. My going to the front line may affect everyone instead. If there is a need for me, I will never hesitate." "Senior Mito, don't say that. Everyone knows your contribution. Now that we are old, it is time for us young people to help protect the village, so that you will not be sent to the battlefield." Konoha hasn't reached that point yet. Tsunade's attitude instantly softened. A moment ago, he was from the older generation, but now he is a senior from Mito's family. The rapid change in attitude left third generation speechless. But third generation is well aware of Tsunade's attitude. This guy just doesn't want Mitokado Homura to go to the front line, because Mitokado Homura's seniority and status are too high. Going to the front line will greatly affect the front line operations. Even Jiraiya will have a headache if he jumps out during a battle. It's better to stay behind. He couldn't bear it, but now Mitokado Homura retreated bravely, which is already the best result, and he really went to the battlefield. As for their old arms and legs, I'm afraid they will really donate them. But for a while, he really didn't know what to ask Mitokado Homura to do. After thinking, third generation asked, "The war has not yet fully started, otherwise, why don't you go and give advice to the genin and chunin in the village? Also, if necessary, please believe that this old man will not be stingy with his life." Mitokado Homura couldn't help but said. After speaking, he didn't stay any longer, and walked out of the office with a sigh. After the person left, Tsunade naturally didn't need to speak ill. He smiled and said to third generation, "Teacher, Mito's seniors still have a lot of credit. Oh, it's best if you understand. Forget it, the ideas are different." Third generation shook his head and didn't say anything else. He took the scroll and looked it over and over again, then frowned. What about the 6 knives? In order to avoid being taken back by Kirigakure, Kyochi sealed it and put it in the wet bone forest. Tsunade blushed. Kyochi's intentions are obvious. It is one thing to prevent Kirigakure from taking it away, but it is more to be afraid that third generation will find a reason to take it away. For example, Kirigakure came up and asked for a settlement with a knife. She also felt that third generation could do such a thing. The third generation was speechless, and after a few seconds, he said, "Tsunade, your illness, is it all right?" Tsunade felt sad, then shook his head slightly. But after a while, she said, "There is a slight relief, but it is not completely cured, but since I have decided to succeed, I will take their beliefs and become a qualified Hokage." "Okay, if you think so, I'm really relieved. When the war is over, you can take over." Third generation breathed a sigh of relief. Kyochi's performance exceeded his expectations, and this battle was crucial, almost tying the East. He can imagine. When this war is over, with Tsunade and Kyochi's prestige, there will be no resistance at all to succeed the fourth generation. The only thing that worries him is Tsunade's illness. When his condition improved, it proved that Tsunade's knot was untied. "Master Kyochi. The patrols can be halved, and everyone can take turns. If someone from Kirigakure comes and says they want to reconcile, don't bother. We can talk about it in a few days." Yes. Back at camp, Kyochi issued another series of orders. Kirigakure lost 6 of the 7 knives, but the strength of Mist Shinobi's large army has not been compromised, and it still poses a great threat. Unless Mist Shinobi stabs Cloud Shinobi, there's no way he can disarm him. After setting these up, Kyochi cancelled Shadow Clone. Afterwards, he came to the tent where Might Guy was. Ms. Kyochi. Might Guy wiped away tears, looking worried. Let me consider. Dai was in a coma. He often opened the 6th gate, but it was the first time he used the 7th gate and Day Tiger. Kyochi probed closely. After a while, he smiled and said, Guy, your father is fine, just tired. Really? After Might Guy heard it, he was overjoyed. Well, but when he wakes up, he has to rest for a few days. During this time, don't let him exercise. You will be responsible for guarding your father. Yes. Might Guy is full of surprises. Kyochi patted his shoulder and walked out of the house. Asuma and the others looked worried, but they didn't dare to approach them. It's okay. Let's rest. Yes. After hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Teacher, Master Day's trick. Shisui was curious. That move does not seem to be ninjutsu, but it is beyond the scope of ordinary physical arts. I speculated before that above the 6th gate, each gate will have completely different changes, so different physical techniques may be derived. That move should be the physical technique that Senior Dai thought of. Kyochi said, looked at everyone, and said, if you don't have enough talent, then stay focused. Even if you only know one trick, you can still make it into steel. Yes. Everyone was very excited and felt that what Kyochi taught was right. Concentrate together, you can also become a talent. Certainly. This is a bowl of poisonous chicken soup. It is true that one can become a talent by concentrating on one team, but it may not be so powerful, at least it is incomparable with 8 inner gates. For example, Yuhi Zhenhong and Yuhi Hong in anime. Focus on illusion. In the end, that's it. In fact, Yuhi Hong is 1 year older than Asuma and the others, but he was promoted to Jonin shortly before the 12 Shaoqiang graduated. So, just listen to chicken soup. When the system prompt came, Kyochi didn't pay much attention, just glanced at it briefly. Ordinary ninjutsu. Not a good thing. Saying goodbye to a few children, he went to Yamanaka Hai. Hai has to work overtime. The 3 who are still alive are not in a hurry, but the dead Loquat Shizang must take advantage of the heat. Seeing Yamanaka's tired face, Kyochi thought about it. Is there any possibility of in-depth transformation, research, and reverse conversion of my own chakra absorption technique into chakra delivery technique? Kyochi thought to himself, it seemed like he could try. But there is no rush for this technique right now. Chakra absorption is difficult to popularize. This thing is very particular about chakra controllability. If chakra controllability is weak, the absorption rate and conversion rate will be outrageous. Red copper armor is an example. In the middle of the night, the second batch of the Uchiha clan arrived. This group was led by Fugaku himself. He thought that after he came here, he would face a severe battlefield situation and take on the great task of turning the tide. In Fugaku's mind, he even hesitated about how much force Uchiha should use, and whether too much force would cause Konoha to be afraid. The results of it. When I arrived at Mount Nagano, I found that the wind and waves were calm here. Seeing Uchiha Yatsushiro, the 2 of them chatted, and Fugaku was immediately dumbfounded. The 7 swordsmen are dead? There is basically no danger here in the east. This, Nima. Some thoughtful design. In the end, it was a battle of wits with the air. Fugaku's expression was dull, and he didn't know what to say for a moment. It's been a long time. Did anything happen in the past 2 days? The next one might be Tsunade. Guess it, is there any more? Fugaku wasn't too surprised. Kyochi's appointment and Tsunade's return to the village are obviously signs of Tsunade's appointment. 8 generations shook his head. Fugaku stared at the night sky in a daze. So, when I arrived this time, there was only leftovers left. In case Mist Shinobi voted, do you have to go back tomorrow? The land of water, Kirigakure. Yagura ordered all the Mist Shinobi to shrink the island, and then returned to the village with the ghost lamp Chiba to report the situation. The 7 swordsmen died. This pot is too big, Yagura can't bear it. And the one who advocates the attack is the ghost lamp Chiba. What does it have to do with him, Yagura? Hearing the news, the seriously ill 3rd Mizukage came. So, my 7 ninja swordsmen are gone. 3rd Mizukage sat there, with a trace of sadness on his old and sickly face. He naturally listened to Yagura's statement. Therefore, he didn't wait for the answer, he stayed for a few seconds, and then said, where are the ghost lanterns? Have you tried using the scroll summoning to get back the ninja sword? Mizukage-sama, our family tried to use it, but the other parties seemed to use some kind of method, and our summoning failed. The elder of the Ghost Lamp clan got up and said, the ninja knife is gone. Mizukage opened his mouth, and finally sighed helplessly. Tell me about the before and after. The elders around are very worried. Everyone has confirmed the truth of this matter. After all, it is such a big matter that it is impossible to listen to Yagura's one-sided words. When the ghost lamp Chinblei came back, they asked Anbu to verify it immediately. Result. It's all true. It's true that ghost lamp Chinba took the lead, and Yagura stopped it, but failed to stop it, and finally sent a young perception ninja like Ao to follow him to make sure nothing went wrong. However, even so, the 7 swordsmen are still gone. These are the 7 powerhouses that 3rd Mizukage painstakingly trained. Mizukage's health is not good, why don't you get angry after hearing this? But it turned out. Mizukage's breathing was disturbed for a moment, but he soon calmed down, but his expression became more miserable. So, Yagura began to tell from the beginning. An elder interrupted. The point is the 7 people. No, Elder Xiangyan, 6 of the 7 have already died, and the loss is irreparable, so the key point is the special tactics adopted by Konoha this time. Yagura looked serious. 3rd Mizukage coughed a few times, then nodded, and said, "You continue." When Mizukage spoke, the others naturally dared not interrupt. Yagura continued speaking. His focus is on Kyochi's tactics, not the life and death of the 7 swordsmen, because the 7 swordsmen are definitely gone. With only 1 sword left, how can they still be called 7 ninja swordsmen? At first, the elders were impatient. After talking about the first stage of the battle, Yagura paused and looked at the elders. Did you hear anything, elders? This tactic is similar to that of our assassination team. They can do it, and our mist shinobi assassination team can do it too. Onito Shohiko said. Elder, the 7 people think so too. Onito Shohiko's face darkened. This word. Shabby who? He stared at Yagura without saying a word. But Yagura didn't answer directly, but started to talk about the second stage. Konoha hunting mist shinobi sentries scattered around the island. 3rd Mizukage's fingers trembled. He understands. Intelligence. Yagura went on to talk, until the 7 swordsmen insisted on following Konoha to attack Nagano Mountain. He was worried about letting Ching follow, but after thinking about it after they left, he felt that something was wrong here. Elders, Konoha's tactics are not simple, traditional assassination tactics, but a set of complete infiltration and assassination tactics based on intelligence, speed and perception ninjas as the core. Yagura said lightly. Onito Shohiko actually understood. Although they are old, Jonin, who used to kill enemies on the battlefield, knows the importance of intelligence, and Konoha's system is built on intelligence. Why was Konoha able to sneak attack them, but their sneak attack was easily resolved by Konoha, instead it became rushing to die? Because the other party's perception is farther than theirs, simple and rough, but difficult to decipher. In terms of perception and detection, no one in the ninja world can match Bayan. There was no sound. What do you mean? Master Mizukage, elders, I think this is a very good tactic, especially very suitable for our mist shinobi ninja. We should study and learn. The meeting room was silent again. Research, study? This is easier said than done. Onito Shohiko wanted to refute, but he looked at the sealed Onito Chiba who was bundled into rice dumplings, and thought of being ridiculed by Yagura before, so he couldn't speak again. 3rd Mizukage knocked on the table lightly, thought for a long time and said, "This tactic can't deal with Bayan at all. Konoha can do this because of a family that is good at perception like Bayan and the Yamanaka family." Yes. Yagura nodded without denying it. He raised his head, with a smile on his face, and said, "We have learned this tactic. Of course, it is impossible to use it against Konoha, but we can deal with Cloud Shinobi Village." What do you mean? Hit Cloud Shinobi Village? 3rd Mizukage was stunned for a long time. This is. Never thought about it. You want to make peace with Konoha? The elders are all human beings, how could they fail to understand the hidden meaning in Yagura's words? Is there a second way? Yagura did not answer directly, but looked at the elders. Talking about peace with Konoha means that the Kirigakure strategy has completely failed, which is equivalent to an alternative surrender. This is so humiliating. But, those 6 knives. Thinking of this, they sighed softly, and looked at Ghost Lamp Chinba with even more anger. All this stuff. If, according to Yagura's strategy, they stayed in the country of water honestly, and waited for the battle to break out in Cloud Shinobi Village and Iwagakure before going out, how could the current situation happen? Incompetent bungler. Let's not talk about the peace talks for now. We can wait for the other 2 villages. But this tactic is really worth learning. You can arrange it during this time. 3rd Mizukage's energy is low, and he is not interested in talking anymore. With such fluctuating emotions, he can persist until now because he has a strong psychological quality. If it were an ordinary person, he might be so angry that he would vomit blood, and he might die directly. Yagura didn't bother anymore. The elders still have to wrestle. Yagura was surprised that 3rd Mizukage could give such a relatively definite answer. In fact, he had the same idea as 3rd Mizukage. Drag it on, Cloud Shinobi, Rock Shinobi. Complete the Guerrilla Tactics, Teaching, Evaluation. Excellent. Award. 1. Principle of Hydration Technique. 2. Water Style Water Shark Technique. 3. Ice Escape. You can choose one of 3 rewards. Where did this reward come from? Kyochi, who woke up in the morning, was very dazed, and there was an extra reward for no reason, and after taking a closer look, his face suddenly became serious. This reward is not ordinary. Hydration Technique. The powerful foundation of the Ghost Lamp family. Unfortunately, it's just a principle. According to the situation of 100 Healings Mark, Kyochi thinks that the system may judge that he cannot learn this technique at present. Hydration Technique is indeed related to physical fitness. The second type is the Water Shark Bomb. This technique corresponds to the Shark Bomb series. If you learn one, it is not difficult to deduce other techniques, and it fits very well with your water style. As for the third, Kyochi took a deep breath. Ice Escape. Although it's just an escape technique, blood successor limit, but its performance in anime is really not weak. Even in the face of many powerful blood succession boundaries behind it, it is somewhat incapable, and it can be used well, which can enrich its current means. This is difficult for water sharks to provide. Measured for a long time, Kyochi finally chose Ice Escape. This technique is very special, and it is very difficult to deduce it. At least for now, Kyochi has no way to get it. On the other hand, it is possible to get it from Kirigakure or other channels, but it doesn't matter. No big deal. The Shark Bomb series is strong, but it is not necessary. Ice Escape is different. As for the hydration technique, not to mention that Ghost Lantern Chinjing was captured by him, and secondly, if he wants to learn this technique, he may have to transform his own physique, which is what Jongdu does in the anime. Kyochi didn't want to involve physical modification. After deciding, he quickly claimed the reward. After a while, the memory of Ice Escape appeared in Kyochi's mind, including some knowledge about the fusion of wind and water nature transformation. Nature transformation fusion. Kyochi quickly realized it carefully. However, he was a little disappointed. Different attribute nature transformation fusion methods are different. So, the knowledge of Ice Escape cannot be borrowed from wood style. Kyochi doesn't care. While that's not the way to go, wood style has an easier way. In addition, he is very clear what is powerful is not wood style itself, but Senju Hashirama's wood style. Kyochi tried for a moment. Then, small ice crystals appeared on his fingertips. It's easy. But if you don't understand the fusion of wind and water nature transformation, you can only rely on blood succession to achieve this. Kyochi sighed for a while, and was about to continue his research when he heard footsteps getting closer. He dissipated the ice crystals and walked out of the tent. Uchiha Fugaku? Kyochi wasn't surprised. The guards were transferred to the east to participate in the war, and they naturally had the idea of making meritorious service in their hearts. Senior Fugaku. Master Kyochi, I have already learned about the general situation from Yatsushiro. Thank you for your generosity. Fugaku bowed deeply. If Kyochi wants to pursue it, he can use yesterday's bet to show Yatsushiro a little bit of color. He didn't mention this matter yesterday or today, obviously he didn't plan to really deal with Uchiha. Kyochi shook his head and said, it's just a joke. The 8 generations of seniors tried their best yesterday. It's not their responsibility if they can't beat Yagura. Thank you very much for your understanding. Fugaku thanked again, and then, just as he was about to ask, Kyochi entered the tent and motioned for him to follow. He had to follow in. Master Kyochi, Mist Shinobi, will we fight again? Kirigakure definitely don't want to fight now, but they haven't said they won't fight, so we can't let our guard down and maintain a confrontation for the time being. Kyochi speaks his mind. This is the result of his discussion with Hai. However, he added later, of course, if the guards have other ideas, they can bring them up and we can discuss them together. That's not true. No one is eager for war. The guards have been participating in the war all these years, and the losses are not small. Fugaku sighed. If you cannot fight, who wants to fight? So, I don't have a battle plan at the moment, and I will let you know if necessary. Kyochi replied. Fugaku nodded, then stood up and bowed. Yes. Then I'll go out first, and thank you very much for teaching Shisui. He is my disciple, as it should be. Kyochi smiled. Fugaku didn't say any more, and exited the tent. Uchiha is still not at ease when Tsunade takes the top position. Generation Hokage Generation Policy. The purpose of Fugaku's visit here is not only to inquire about his attitude, but also to express his loyalty and to test him. Secret Technique. Kyochi is still thinking about Ice Escape. He has the blood inheritance limit of Ice Escape, but it does not include the secret technique of Magic Mirror Ice Crystal. Certainly. It is not difficult to deduce it, but now the question is whether it is necessary. He thinks about it for a while. No need. The magic mirror ice crystal is not weak, but it is too simple, and it can be done by simply moving at high speed. If you have that skill, why not think about how to integrate into your own system? For example, action, light illusion, combined with ice mirror. Kyochi started thinking about it, however. After a while, Kyochi had no time to think about it. Yamanaka Hayi came. Master Kyochi, this is the information that has been dug out from Loquat Juzang's brain so far, and there will be nothing more. He sighed. There are too few people here, and there is no one to send back to the village, let alone dig up too many things. Kyochi takes over. The Yamanaka family can dig information from the minds of dead people, but after all, death has a greater impact, and this information is intermittent in many places. Sweep down at a glance. There are 3 important ones. Silent assassination, missed shinobi, and third Mizukage's intelligence. Mizukage is seriously ill and won't live for another year. Kyochi was thoughtful. Third Mizukage is seriously ill, which was mentioned in Ghost Lantern 1000 Views before, but Loquat Tenzang is obviously more detailed here. According to the information I just got from Sutsukasano Beto, Onito Senbashi intends to compete for Mizukage's position. Only by him? It's not that Kyochi looks down on Chiba. Judging from the limited information, this is the one who has always wanted to attack Mount Nagano. He wants to learn to attack by himself without carefully analyzing the situation of the enemy and himself. He is just like that guy. But Yugura. He thought for a moment, and then said, Senior Hayi, do you think Yugura has returned to the village now? Back to the village. Hayi was stunned for a moment. It's not impossible. The Ghost Lamp clan wants to fight for position, and this is his chance to fight back. How's the situation in the north? Cloud Shinobi village is stationed in the Tanobi area, and they are still harassing each other. The Tanobi daimyo sent a message asking us for help. The daimyo of Tien Jiguo. Konoha really doesn't have much spare power to deal with Cloud Shinobi village now, not to mention that Cloud Shinobi village is not fighting alone, but the Cloud Shinobi village and Iwagakure alliance. Now not only the north, but also the west front is under great pressure. Not to mention, whether Tien Jiguo daimyo is sincere or not is still a question mark. Kyochi didn't respond. He was not in charge of this matter, as long as he knew that there was no one else to help him. For Mist Shinobi, I think it can be delayed a little longer, and they will definitely choose to settle. Yamanaka said. The 5 major ninja villages are different in strength and weakness, but after years of fighting, Sanagakure is now at the bottom, but Kirigakure is not much better, and the 7 swordsmen belong to their top combat power. But even so, the 7 swordsmen were still easily taken down by Konoha. There are only 3 people out. This record is too scary, enough for Kirigakure to weigh 1 or 2. As long as Kirigakure is smart, he dare not fight to the end. Kyochi pondered over and over again, and finally shook his head. We can't procrastinate. Cloud Shinobi Village and Iwagakure haven't started their official attack yet. Once they attack, Kirigakure's attitude may change drastically. We must take it down. What do you mean? It's not that he came to us for peace talks, we want to force them to surrender. Kyochi was categorical. The country of water is not weak. In addition to Kirigakure's current combat power, there are also the Wei Yoruichi and Yuki clans. To be honest, they may not be able to take down the official battle. But once the other 2 villages attack and Kirigakure comes to peace talks, the conditions will be different. You can't sell your name to learn the overlord. Yamanaka thought for a while, and finally nodded. Have to admit, Kyochi's consideration is also very reasonable. Kirigakure is just waiting for the right time. The terms of the peace talks now and later are completely different. Konoha cannot hesitate. It is not easy for Kyochi to think so comprehensively at such a young age. Think carefully. This kid seems to have something to say in every field now. How incredible. He admired it in his heart and thought about it at the same time. Since Kyochi's attitude is so firm, he didn't move now, obviously waiting. Wait for the guard. Wrong. In his mind, the day when might put on the 7th gate and punched out a physical technique that looked like a tiger. Waiting to where? He was right. Day's physical fitness has actually recovered today, but many aspects of his body need to take longer to recuperate, otherwise the root cause of the disease will easily remain. Kyochi doesn't want to gamble his future, so why not give Kirigakure a few days? Northwest, Rain Shinobi Village. Where Hanzo was hiding, an orange-haired man wearing a cloak entered. Yahiko. How's the situation? Master Hanzo, Iwagakure hopes that we will not interfere in their war with Konoha, and they promise that they will never attack us. Yahiko said respectfully. Hanzo fell silent. He weighed the pros and cons, and chose to be neutral after agreeing. Of course, he could keep Rain Shinobi Village unaffected in this battle. But what about the future? Konoha and Iwagakure are not easy to mess with. He sighed and felt powerless again. After a long time, Hanzo turned around, raised his head and asked, "What do you think?" "Master Hanzo, I think I can agree," Yahiko said. Hanzo looked up at him, and said, "Have you ever thought about Konoha? That guy Danzo is not easy to mess with." "I thought about it." Yahiko nodded, but he didn't change his attitude. "If we don't participate, there are 3 benefits. One is that Rain Shinobi Village can get a chance to recuperate. The other is that the surrounding countries are in war and we are peaceful. A group of people will definitely come to the country of Rain to settle down. Our country's population can surge." He paused, and Hanzo looked up, looking at Yahiko strangely. Yahiko pulls out a map. The distribution of the ninja world is drawn on it. Shaoran Village will not agree with our united view if they don't experience the pain of war. Only by letting them experience war and pain will they unite with us. Yahiko's tone was firm. What Kyochi said flashed through his mind. During this period of time, Yahiko has been thinking about how to change the status quo, and this war made him fully understand that sentence, and thus saw a glimmer of hope. Hanzo fell silent. Yahiko's ideal, he is not ignorant. In fact, when this kid joined the team, he said that he worshipped his own ideas and wanted to contribute to his ideals. He always thought it was an excuse for the other party to cling to the relationship. Rain Shinobi Village doesn't have much talent. Therefore, he let Yahiko and the others stay and gave the official ninja organization. Did not expect. Yahiko is a peaceful concept that really wants to help herself realize. Peace. I kind of forgot about it myself. I didn't expect anyone to really remember it. Hanzo sighed. This thing is so far away. But he had to admit that there was some truth to what Yahiko said. After experiencing the pain of the war, Shaoran Village will be attached and united. Otherwise they will only feel that the war has nothing to do with them, and at worst they will find a big village to take refuge in. This view is ridiculous. He pondered for a long time, and finally said, "What if Iwagakure and Konoha Village join forces to deal with us first? Then we'll turn to Sanagakure." Yahiko said, "Sanagakure is the weakest, almost no different from us now. Relying on them, we can have the greatest power, and they also need our power." "Go ahead." Hanzo said nothing more. Yahiko was overjoyed, quickly bowed to thank her, and then ran out of the office. It's been a long time. He got up and walked to another place. A person is waiting for him. "Master Hanzo, have you considered it? We can't afford to offend you, but we can't offend Iwagakure either. Therefore, Rain Shinobi Village will not participate in either side in this battle, but ninja tools and detonators can be traded with you." Hanzo speaks out his decision. Danzo was surprised for a while, then sneered. "Are you still thinking about your own set? I'm just tired and don't want to participate in these wars. As for my... Oh, who hasn't been young and naive? Danzo, you go. The ninja trade can be discussed with my subordinates." Hanzo waved goodbye and disappeared. Yes. He also thinks Yahiko is young and naive, but who hasn't been naive? Once upon a time, I also wanted to use my own strength to fight against the 3 major villages. Danzo squinted his eyes and didn't linger any longer. The result surprised him a bit, but it is better for Rain Shinobi Village to be neutral than to help Iwagakure. Kyochi got another reward, not much. A normal water-style ninjutsu. The title is Practice Class. He thought about it, but he didn't understand where the reward came from. Students have grown up and know how to give back to their teachers. It's not easy. Kyochi sighed. It belongs to the lightness of etiquette and the importance of affection. But he was only slightly emotional. Kyochi already has a lot of ninjutsu reserves, and the usual water-style ninjutsu rewards are the same. It's better to practice Mist Shinobi more, certainly. It's not just him practicing. This thing is really practical. According to his idea, it is natural that the whole village should practice together. The more people who learn it, the better. Not only the Mist Shinobi technique, but also the silent assassination technique. But the Mist Shinobi technique is okay to say. The latter is more difficult. It is easy to learn but difficult to master. Otherwise, Taudi's silent assassination technique would not be so famous. In the past 2 days, Kyochi has been thinking about the teaching materials. Finally, Senior Hai, please gather all the ninjas who have mastered water-style nature transformation and learn the Mist Shinobi technique and this practice technique together. This is. Hai also learned water-style nature transformation. In fact, he has been learning these few days, and he has made some small achievements, but he took it and took a look. Whoa. The scroll is very detailed, describing many skills of the Mist Shinobi technique, which is more detailed than those dug out from the 7 swordsmen. Then, Kyochi handed over another volume. This is silent assassination. This is not complete, but let them remember first, they don't have to learn how to use it, at least they have to understand how to deal with it. Yes. Yamanaka left with the scroll. Kyochi is too lazy to earn this reward, a group of Jonin are too smart, and Mist Shinobi itself is a C-level ninjutsu. As long as you know water-style nature transformation, the difficulty is not high at all. It is estimated that if you participate in person, the reward will be a little bit more than simply compiling textbooks. With that time, it is better to think about other things. Bingden. This thing is very good against ordinary people, but unfortunately it is useless against those people. Kyochi sighs. Ice Dungeon is very strong, but it is still in the category of common spells. It does not have the heaven-defying ability to change fate like the Kagaya G series Blood successors, and its power is not as overbearing as Dust Dungeon. Can only say, better than nothing. He was playing with an ice skate in his hand, and with a thought, 3 or 4 ice skates floated in the air. These are just the basics. To be honest, the use is not very big. For Kyochi, the biggest use is to cover his body with a layer of ice armor, so that he will not be too afraid to meet lightning-style ninjas. When he went out, he saw many ninjas surrounding the camp. All looking at the scroll. Mist Shinobi technique, silent assassination technique. This is one of the foundations of Kirigakure. Who would not want to learn more to prepare themselves? Unfortunately, the 3 of Shisui didn't have the ability of water style, so they had to sigh and ponder the silent assassination technique first. Shisui was short and flexible, so he quickly got in and had a look. When Kyochi went out, he was reciting to others. Might Guy is also on this list. But, he scratched his head after listening. Guy, do you understand? Ebisu asked softly. No, I don't think this silent assassination technique is practical, and we don't know the Mist Shinobi technique? Guy doesn't even know what a whisper is. Shiranui Xuanjian covered his face, completely speechless. These 2 weirdos are actually my teammates. I didn't let you learn it. The teacher didn't write how to use it, but how to prevent and crack it, so as to prevent us from being killed when we encounter masters of this technique. Sunset Red said. The only female ninja in the 2 teams spoke, and naturally no one objected, and they all nodded with, After she finished speaking, she sensed that Kyochi was coming. He quickly stood up, patted the dust, and said with a smile, Teacher, do you think what I said is right? Yep. Kyochi smiled. There are not many ninjas on the Eastern Front, but most of them are not weak, and the few genin are only these 6. But, going to Mist Shinobi this time, he plans to take them with him. So, practice well. This task is relatively simple. You have no chance to experience the cruelty of the battlefield. I will show you to experience it later. Yes. Shisui was a little excited and even a little nervous. As strong as the 7 swordsmen, they will still die on the battlefield, let alone them. On the battlefield, the names of families and geniuses are useless. Only strength is the last word. The others figured out what was going on. Kyochi was going to take them to battle. You can't joke, can you? I never joke, come on. Kyochi patted Ebisu on the shoulder. The child looked bitter. But, in the past few days, Kyochi will not be out for the time being. Might Dai has not fully recovered yet. Dai is a deterrent presence. I believe that when Ghost Lamp Chiba goes back, he should explain the situation at that time, and the ninjas of Kirigakure will not fail to understand his strength. At the same time, these days are also time for Kirigakure. What if Yagura didn't come back after he was killed? That wasn't really Armageddon. Kyochi didn't intend to destroy Mist Shinobi's unit. He also expected Yagura to lead someone to stab Reikage with a knife, and if he killed them all, he would jump back. The information about Yamanaka Hai is still digging, and today there is a piece of information that surprised Kyochi. The 8th person who follows the 7 swordsmen is named Ching. Basically not the same name. The probability is too small. Moreover, the appearance description dug out from memory should be the one who got the supercilious look later. Unfortunately, this time he didn't get his eyes, but Kyochi's knife, and the worst thing is, Kyochi killed him without remembering who he was. Same. There are 2 corpses, one is 7 swordsmen and the other is ordinary ninja. Obviously Loquat Tenzang is more valuable. So, not even Yamanaka Heiichi could handle him. Simply miserable. Certainly. Kyochi was only slightly emotional, even a bit like crocodile tears. It's too late for him to be happy when Ching died. How could he feel sorry for him? And this guy's strength is also average, but he can't even see the acupuncture points after getting the white eyes, let alone figure out Hyuga's acupuncture points. In comparison, Z Luo can study it without rolling her eyes. Let's judge. It's best for such trash to die. In the past few days, Konoha has been researching the Mist Shinobi technique and silent assassination technique. When Kyochi was doing recovery treatment for Might, He healed the 3 injuries of Totsuku's Anobeto. The information is almost done, but they have value in their own right. When Kirigakure reconciles, the 3 of them can be used as bargaining chips. At any rate, it was cultivated by 3rd Mizukage. 3 or 4 days passed. Might Dai has fully recovered. Under the signal flare, all the ninjas gathered, and 2 boats prepared in advance were moored on the shore. Kyochi, why don't you bring more? Yamanaka was a little worried. Kyochi only brought 2/3 of the staff. The problem is, what he has to face is probably half of Kirigakure's ninjas. No, this is enough. If Mist Shinobi really wants to fight, then I'm still there. Not that Kyochi is arrogant. He teamed up with Might Dai, and it would be nonsense to say that killing all Mist Shinobi's people, but blocking Kirigakure ninjas and letting others retreat is perfectly fine, and in the end they can retreat unscathed. So don't worry at all. Yamanaka couldn't persuade them, so he had to watch them board the boat. Ships sail away. The ship is full of ninjas. If Kirigakure wants to cause damage, it will not affect them too much. If they abandon the ship and run away, at most it will cost Chakra more problems. A few kilometers away from the boat, Kyochi discovered a headache. He'd figured everything out, except he didn't expect. Might Dai father and son TM seasick, absolutely. Vomit, the 2 vomited wildly. Vomiting is easily contagious, and the whole atmosphere is very bad. Kyochi rubbed his temples. These 2 father and son. Senior Dai, guy, otherwise you 2 will be able to tread water all the way, right? Of course. Wow. Run? Yes, the Konoha Kenglin beast is back to life. Might Guy rushed out first. Thump. He jumped directly into the sea and galloped across the sea, really out of shape. Incomprehensible. Kyochi watched the father and son go away. So far, they ran over. Don't worry, the 2 of them can run farther than you think. Kyochi wasn't worried at all. Because he didn't plan to arrive in one day, he had to visit the previous stronghold in the middle, so he could rest there. After a few hours, they arrived at the former stronghold of Kirigakure. The Mist Shinobi ninja has been wiped out, most of the traces have been destroyed, leaving no important clues. Stop and go all the way. After one day. Master Kyochi, I saw the ninjas of Mist Shinobi, about 4 teams, on an island 4 kilometers to the northeast. We should be close to the position. Just right, go. After Kyochi finished speaking, he rushed out with a whoosh, followed closely by Asuma and Shisui. In addition to Kyochi, Bai Yunzao's team, and Hyuga Fuji also quickly followed, and the others were on the boat, advancing with the main force. Not for a while. The Mist Shinobi ninjas also found them. My lord, the Konoha Shinobi is here again, don't panic. Shimokawa and Hiro took out the flares and fired 2 directly. Beat? Retreat from this side, and the opponent will come straight to the base camp. Shimokawa Kazuhiro said. Konoha has been bullied to the head, how can she retreat? Rear. Seeing the signal flare, Yugura yelled, and then led 3 or 4 teams to take the lead. He had expected it. After all, there are 4 or 5 people whose lives are unknown, and the information on the stronghold here may have been exposed. So, a few days ago, he transferred some people from the Snow Clan and Wei Yoruichi clan here. Seeing that they haven't come in the past few days, they let them go back. After all, the Wei Yoruichi clan and the Yuki clan are not easy to get along with, and they don't obey discipline, so staying in the stronghold is simply a disaster. However, a few days later, Kyochi came. Careless. Annoyed in his heart, Yugura couldn't help speeding up. Not long after, he saw thick fog rising from the island not far away. Master Yugura, this does not seem to be our Mist Shinobi technique. The sentient ninja hurriedly reported. Chakra's breath is wrong. Yugura's face was ugly. Of course he knows. If you guessed right, this is Kyochi's chakra breath. This Kanda Kyochi. Hateful, hateful, it's only been a few days? The opponent not only got the Mist Shinobi technique, but also learned the Mist Shinobi technique to such an extent that even their Mist Shinobi technique was overridden. This gave Yugura a bad memory. According to the old people, a long time ago, the famous water-style ninja in the ninja world was not Kirigakure, but the second Hokage Senju Tobarama. He could feel that feeling now. Gone, small island. Kyochi covered the opponent's dense fog with fog, and, around the island, dozens of detonators flew in the air, surrounding the island with 4 teams of Jonin. Superior. Yes. Although Asuma and the others were apprehensive, they rushed up without hesitation when they heard the order. Fog is the best cover, but at the same time, as a side that is not used to the fog, Asuma and the others cannot be said to have an advantage, but under the fog formed by chakra, it is Kyochi's home court. A voice sounded. Throat, spine. 8 vital points, which one do you want me to attack next? What? Shimokawa and Hiro were puzzled, and then anger rose in their hearts. This guy Konoha. Do you think that with their Mist Shinobi technique, you can reproduce their silent assassination technique? Too loud. Before the thought flashed across his mind, he suddenly felt a chill coming from behind. Next moment. With a pain in the neck, I looked down. Blood arrows spray. It wasn't just him. Besides him, there was another Jonin who was also hit by the sword, but he was hit by the sword, he was locked in ice, unable to move at all, and was directly pierced through the heart by the water column condensed by Kyochi's sword. Two Jonin cast great breakthrough. But their wind style blew away the dense fog for a moment, but within a second the fog surrounded them again. During this short period of time, they didn't even see the enemy. This is the silent assassination technique. No sound can be heard, no one can be seen, and all he can see is the death of his teammates. When they use the Mist Shinobi technique, they will be covered by the other party, so it has no interference effect at all. Damn. Go, go. The rest were terrified. They knew for the first time that Mist Shinobi and silent assassination are so terrifying, but the people who use them are not Kirigakure's ninjas, but Konoha's people. All ninjas walk and make seals, some use water barrier, and some use waterfall technique to wash the ground, but without exception these can't stop the enemy. Water barrier. One knife. The sharp wind-style chakra cut the water barrier open, and the next moment, another knife struck like a ghost. When Mist Shinobi Jonin blocked a knife, but he vaguely saw that what he blocked seemed not to be a real knife, but something like an ice spike or ice blade. However, he didn't have time to think about it. When he retreated quickly with a knife, the next moment, another knife struck. Hit the shoulder this time. Help me. My hand. Too fast. There was no time to print at all. And the most frightening thing was that he found that his arms seemed to be out of control. Not just the injured left hand. The chest is to the left, and the state of the body is very chaotic, including the neck, which seems to be stiff and sluggish. What kind of technique is this? He was terrified and could only ask his teammates for help. But what teammates can do is very limited, because they don't know where the opponent is at all, and the vast white mist containing chakra blocks their vision and perception. They have never stopped body flicker technique, and the island is not big, but at this moment, it feels like a maze, and there is no way to go. Everyone regrets it. If I knew this earlier, what could I do? It's okay to withdraw. Seeing that this Jonin is not in good condition, the rest of the people didn't hesitate anymore. One word. Slip. They don't want to sell their teammates unless they have to, but now the strength of the two sides is not at the same level at all, and it's just Kyochi's own shot. Bai Yunzao and Might Dai are all on the periphery, ready to prevent them from escaping, and on the other hand, they are also blocking the reinforcements that may come from the other side. Instead of killing Jonin who was affected by nervous system rupture, Kyochi punched him in the direction of Asuma and the others. This punch further enhanced the effect of nervous system rupture. It can be said that this Jonin is basically useless. If even a Jonin of this level can't be killed, then Shisui and the others don't need to go to the battlefield. The next moment, he opened the door with the body flicker technique, and turned into a stream in an instant. There is no chakra blessing, only haste that is too fast to handle. One knife. Two knives. Laugh. The last Jonin's throat splattered with blood, while the other elite Chunin was slain by Kyochi with Thor's sword. How could they outrun Kyochi? After screaming, the mist dispersed. The surviving Mist Shinobi ninjas saw fear in their eyes. 3 of the 4 Jonin died, and the surrounding earth walls rose to completely surround them, and dozens of detonating symbols fluttered in the sky. Not far away, Mist Shinobi Jonin, who was just abandoned, is being besieged by 6 children. At the same time, they sensed that there were 2 Konoha shinobi in front of them, and they were at least Jonin by breath. Insult. What an insult. Their blood surged up. Konoha's attitude is obvious, that they want to use them as stepping stones to sharpen genin. The 11 Chunin who were still alive looked at each other. Needless to say done. These 6 are just genin, nothing to fear at all, and can be delayed until the arrival of Yagura. Why not do it? They turned back, obediently rushed towards Might Guy and the others. Kyochi jumps onto the city wall. Is it okay? Do you want to kill a few more? Baiyun came to him in the morning. 11 Chunin, plus the crippled Jonin, makes 12, which is not a small number. That Jonin is a waste. Their enemy is 11 Chunin. I don't expect them to kill, as long as they persist for a certain period of time. Moreover, he left Katsuyu on all 6 of them. As long as you don't die, you can save it. As soon as the words fell, the Jonin was slashed in the neck by Shisui. Kyochi glanced back at the sea. Yagura is coming soon. So, it won't be long before you can fight. 6 against 11. Asuma's palms were sweaty. He was holding a handful of kunai in each hand, Kumai wind-style chakra hesitated. Vacuum sword. He and Might Guy exchanged glances. Superior. As soon as Guy opened the door, he rushed up instantly. The opponents are both Chunin. If you don't use all your strength, you can't fight at all. Asuma followed. Might Guy is fast. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of the front Chunin. Shadow Dance Leaf. Kick. The opponent was kicked into the air. Next moment. Shisui was in place in an instant, with both hands forming seals, directly covered by the Great Fireball technique. Behind, Shiranui Genma and Ebisu threw a shuriken. Their target was not the one above, but the enemies around Might Guy. Asuma also used Kumi to help resist the enemies around Might Guy. On the other hand, Yuhihong started to use illusion in Jian. The six of them cooperated unconsciously. Look, they cooperate well. Kyochi smiled. The two teams patrolled and exercised together during this period of time, and the tacit understanding was cultivated well. At least the first team did not pull the cross, and the surprise attack killed one person. Bai Yun hesitated for a moment, then nodded. It looks like. Currently not down. But the opponents are both Chunin, after all, they are not of the same strength, and will soon become different. Mist Ninja is a professional bully. Facing the six children, they were full of confidence. Although one of their companions was killed in a surprise attack, it was not a big problem. We couldn't beat Kyochi, and you couldn't beat them. The 10 people adjusted their status and quickly resumed cooperation. The mist began to fill. Do not be afraid. Red yelled. She used illusion to control the opponent. Ninjutsu interrupted. Shisui understood the meaning instantly. He body flicker technique came behind the enemy using mist shinobi technique, and just about to make a move, the opponent's partner had already reacted. Hateful. He held back the useless Sharingan. In the blink of an eye, the opponent recovered from the illusion and even turned back to besiege Shisui. Shisui had no choice but to use bubble illusion to restrain him. In the next second, one of the opponent's body flicker technique came to the side. If it weren't for Shisui, he would have retreated, so he was a quick shot, and he might have been surprised by the opponent at this moment. Sweat dripped from Shisui's forehead. Watching the teacher cut melons and vegetables, he could not bear to underestimate the fog. Only when we face it can we know. Even Chunin is not something they can underestimate now, because they are far from growing up. After an initial kill, they began to retreat. And, with the side effects of Might Guy opening the door, they had to shrink their defenses. The 5 of them tried their best to support them, but they didn't know that Huo Genma and Ebisu were in danger. Yuhihong no longer hesitated. Combine hands into mudra, condense healing jutsu. Follow closely. Boom. Punch. The 3 people who came up to besiege were forced back in an instant, and one of them was close, and his arm was scraped by Kurenai Yuhi's fist and chakra's airflow, and his bones were directly dislocated. However, Evening Red is not without price. Her right hand suffered a ligament strain and temporarily lost her combat power. Fortunately, she had gathered healing jutsu in her left hand in advance, so she can heal herself at this moment. But this punch gave Might Guy his chance. He opened the Hue door instantly. Physical recovery. Shengmen, open. Next moment, whoosh. He rushed towards those 3 people, not seeking to defeat them, only seeking to gather them in one place. Might Guy didn't know why, but a flash of inspiration came to his mind, and that's what he did. Yuhi's red eyes lit up. While recovering her right hand, she moved closer to this side. Fog is not stupid. Kurenai Yuhi's move is obviously Konoha Tsunade's stunt. Whoever blocks it is a fool. They chose decisively, direct water barrier, water prison. Even if the arm bones are dislocated, I still endure the pain. In short, save my life first. But the next moment, they saw a dozen Konoha shinobi jumping on the dirt wall. In a few seconds, 20, 30, a group of Konoha shinobi players stood on the high wall and watched them. All of them looked like they were watching. They were dumbfounded. About the same time, Yagura and the rest of the mist shinobi ninjas also arrived on the island, but they faced the trio of Kyochi, Might Dai and Bai Yunzao. Others don't recognize it, but Yagura does. These are the 3 people in the Ghost Lamp Thousand Blades. Chakra has a weak aura, but is a terrifying physique monster after opening the secret, and Kanda Kyochi with strong swordsmanship. Bai Yunzao, the only one who made up the numbers, is also a good player among Jonin, able to block the 2 members of the 7 members from losing the wind for a short time. This kind of strength, he was crazy to strike first. Yagura took a deep breath, stood up and asked, Kyochi Jonin, I, Kirigakure, have decided to quit. Why does Konoha keep pushing? Exit? Hehe. Do you think I believe it? Kyochi crouched against the wall. Yagura smiled wryly. You killed 6 of our mist shinobi 7 swordsmen, So what if we don't quit? No. What I mean is, you can fight if you want, and you can't fight if you don't want to. Are you still thinking about waiting for Cloud Shinobi Village and Iwagakure to attack in the north, and then come to bargain? Kyochi sneered. Kiragakure's idea, who doesn't know yet? The young man is good looking and thinks even more beautifully. The Kingdom of Fire is your home. How come? I also want to reconcile as soon as possible, but the elders in the village disagree. Yugura took a deep breath. This Kanda Kyochi is really not easy to deal with, and what is the situation with Konoha now? Has third Hokage stepped down? Let's do something. He knew that such thoughts could not be concealed from others. But, according to the style of third Hokage, generally at such times, third Hokage will choose to be conservative, give in, and stabilize the northern and northwest battlefields. However, the current style of doing things is not the style of third generation at all. Simply reckless to the ultimate. Since that's the case, you should go and urge it. The elders have problems, and you can't solve the problem. If you can't solve the problem, just solve the person who raised the problem. Kyochi chuckled, and then said, hurry up and you can get a group of 4. Slow down, maybe you have to start from the beginning. What do you mean? Who's still alive? Yugura's heart skipped a beat. Then, he thought of the mist shinobi technique used by Kyochi, and his face became even uglier. No wonder. He doesn't doubt the loyalty of the mist shinobi ninjas, but the abilities of the Konoha Yamanaka clan are also impressive. Basically, anyone who has been in contact with intelligence understands their power. Whether or not to leak the secrets, I am afraid that the 3 people cannot decide. Tong Kusao Yi Bai Ren, Wu Li Jin Ba, Li Shuang Quan Wan, that's alright, you can think about it for yourself. The 10 Chunin will not be killed, let them go as a gift. The walls crumbled. The situation on the island is revealed in front of Yugura. All 4 Jonin are dead. 10 of the Chunin are still alive, but they're enemies. 6 children? Yugura was silent. Even Konoha's children are so strong? Then. I hope your village can show some sincerity, so I don't need to visit in person next time. Saying that, Kyochi drew his sword and slashed out. The wind-style chakra, condensed into a light blue color, instantly transformed into a traceless sword aura, filling the air with smoke and dust. The island roared. Wait for the smoke to clear. Konoha's ninjas had already left, and only Kiragakure's ninjas remained on the island. 3 steps ahead of Yugura, a long and narrow crack spanned more than 10 meters and was 1 or 2 meters deep. Yugura looked at the ground, speechless for a while. So fast. Such strong swordsmanship. Zhongji, can you absorb the sword technique just now? Yugura asked solemnly. Can. Zhongji nodded, but the next moment, he thought about it, shook his head and said, but his speed is too fast, I may not be in time. Yes. So fast. Yugura didn't say anything. He is not familiar with Nakayoshi, but the other party is third Mizukage's confidant, and most of Jonin's abilities know it. Even he. Not to mention, and that might die, the terrible outburst occult technique, which cannot be absorbed by Samahata. It is indeed difficult for them to compete with Konoha. Master Yugura, Konoha must not have many people in the eastern region. If we really fight with them to the end, we may not lose too badly. Zhongji closed his eyes and felt for a moment, then said. But the loss will be huge. As you saw just now, the Konoha guards are here. Uchiha. Although the opponent's fire style is restrained by them, Uchiha is not only good at fire style, lightning style and illusion are all areas they are good at. Yugura stepped over the long and narrow sword marks and walked towards the 10 Chunin. The 10 Chunin were terrified. Because just now when Kyochi left, he used a sword to draw a line on their forehead protectors, and now there is a sword mark on each of their forehead protectors. This means, just now Kyochi was able to kill them easily. It's terrible. It's terrible, 10 people muttered to themselves. Yugura frowned. He knelt down and tried to communicate, but they were all in a trance, and the most normal ones were the 3 who were forced by the Might Guy to use the water prison technique to protect themselves. What happened? How did Shimagawa and Hiro die? I don't know, it's a white mist, there is no sound at all, I can't perceive the location, I can't find him at all. Later, he was completely playing us. A Chunin said excitedly, and another person. Throat, spine. 8 vital points, which one do you want me to attack next? Yugura took a deep breath. It's hard to imagine what these 10 people experienced, but judging from their performance, there is no doubt that they were greatly stimulated. Of course, the biggest stimulus is undoubtedly the sword mark on the last forehead protector. He stopped for a long time, and finally sighed. Take it back and let the medical ninja take care of it. Yes. People are carried away. Yugura was speechless for a long time. He had just observed the 6 people who died, and found that the fatal wounds were exactly the vital points mentioned. He replayed them in his mind, and immediately understood the feelings of these 10 chunins. Torture, humiliate. Kirigakure's proud ninjutsu and skills are stronger and more terrifying in the hands of the enemy, but they have nothing to do. Not at all. If it is the dead bone pulse of the Wei Yoruichi family, maybe it is not so afraid of Kanda Kyochi, because dead bone pulse bones have very strong defense and countermeasures. However, he couldn't be sure that Kyochi really knew that. The unknown is the scariest thing. Yagura was contemplating. In the sky, the intelligence bird used by Kirin Anbu for communication fell from a high altitude. He was stunned for a moment, and immediately whistled to call the bird. It has emotional strips on its legs, it says. Orochimaru left Konoha and came to the east for an unknown purpose. Time: 1 day ago. Orochimaru. Yagura's breathing was momentarily disturbed. Kanda Kyochi and Might Die are already enough to give him a headache, and if Orochimaru comes, Konoha may really have to do it. The other party is serious. At this moment, he was a little lost, and when he calmed down, those words of Kyochi came to his mind. The third of the 7 swordsmen, and also, if you can't solve the problem, solve the person who raised the problem. If it doesn't work, that's the only option. Nakayoshi, I'll go back. Let them stay on the island and don't disperse. If you notice Konoha coming, take them back to the land of water. This is. Zhongji hesitated for a moment, and finally nodded in response. At this time of crisis, we should indeed make a decisive decision. No matter whether we get back, peace, or all-out war, it is better than hesitating here. Maritime. Konoha's boat was drifting back. Might Die and Might Guy are vomiting wildly, without the awe-inspiring aura they had before, especially Might Guy, who has already unlocked the 3rd gate and is weak and seasick. Master Kyochi, are they all right? It's just seasickness, what can happen? Kyochi shook his head. When watching anime, he still didn't believe that an athlete like Guy would get seasick, but looking at it now, this stuff goes deep into the genes, and the father and son can't be said to be similar, they are exactly the same. In everyone's eyes, Kyochi's medical ninjutsu is second only to Tsunade in the whole village, so Bai Yun was relieved after hearing this in the morning. On the other boat, Uchiha Fugaku looked out to sea, not in a good mood. Patriarch. 8 generations of seniors, sit down. Fugaku smiled. Yatsushiro nodded and sat down, looking at the boat next door. There are only guards on this ship, and it is quite far from that side. He lowered his voice and said, Patriarch, do you really think we should join them? Fugaku's expression was different, but he quickly returned to normal. He glanced at Uchiha Yatsushiro, do we have another way? But Yatsushiro looked anxious, but Kyochi's methods emerged in his mind. Mist shinobi surgery. Incredibly fast, and swordsmanship, water style. Put it bluntly. This Kanda Kyochi is just like that one, except for the words, targeting Uchiha, written on his face. He really couldn't think of a way to deal with Kyochi. Fugaku frowned and sighed softly. I understand everyone's thoughts, but the situation is stronger than others. Besides, the attitude of the village has changed this year. That's true, but there are only 2. Yatsushiro naturally knew what he was referring to. Shisui, Obito. One is under Kyochi and the other is under Minato, and Kyochi now seems to represent the Tsunade line, and Minato represents the Jiraiya line. This is the goodwill released by the Hokage faction. But they still don't think it's enough. It's not just Yudai who have this idea. Fugaku glanced at him, and said, the 2 are already good, wait for the superior, we will talk to them again. The situation in the village is clear. For unknown reasons, Orochimaru has gradually faded out of many positions recently. With Tsunade's return, Konoha's ninjas quickly gathered around her at an alarming rate. Exactly as Shisui Intelligence said, Tsunade is coming up. 1 generation of Hokage generation policy. Maybe when Tsunade comes to power, the situation will become different. As far as the situation on the Eastern Front is concerned, the style of Kyochi and Tsunade is unlikely to be the same as that of 3rd generation and Danzo. Perhaps it's time to find a time and have a good talk with Shisui. What Yashura said just now came to Fugaku's mind. When did I think Uchiha should be with Konoha? Mount Nagano. When Kanda Kyochi left, Yamanaka did not dare to relax for a moment, for fear that there would be a sneak attack by the enemy with only so few people on Nagano Mountain. But after waiting for a while, the enemy didn't arrive, but someone he didn't expect came. Master Orochimaru. Sit down, Hai, we are old friends too, there is no need to be so polite. Orochimaru smiled softly, and sat down by himself after speaking. At this moment, it seems that he is the one in charge here. Sanin's aura instantly turned against the guest. Hai said, Master Orochimaru, Master Kyochi is not on the mountain. If you want to find him, you may have to wait a while. I know. I went to find Mist Shinobi. Kirigakure's communication bird has just passed in less than a day, and it should be in Yagura's hands by now. Orochimaru's expression was indifferent, but what he said surprised Yamanaka. Communication birds? He was stunned for a moment, and then he knew that there must be Kirigakure's Anbu ninjas in the Fire Nation. The country is so big, it is impossible to search for the enemy's spies. Hayi quickly understood what Orochimaru meant. Did you come here specially? This kid wants to force Kirigakure to surrender. It seems a bit extreme to the old man and the others, but I think it's a good idea. Orochimaru said, licking his lips. If it can be forced to surrender, it is indeed the best situation at present. Yamanaka nodded. If not, he would not have agreed to Kyochi's deterrence this time. Kirigakure is indeed not weak, but it is limited to this. In terms of the ranking of strength among the 5 major villages, Sunagakure is the last one, and Kirigakure is the second last one. In some periods, the two are even indistinguishable. Now 6 of the 7 people have died, and the 6 knives are gone. If the fight continues, the loss caused is simply beyond Kirigakure's ability to bear. Just as he was about to say more, he noticed several breaths entering the range of perception. The peloton is back. Actually, not only did they find Kyochi, Kyochi also sensed Orochimaru's arrival. He was a little surprised at first, but soon understood why. Orochimaru came to put the pressure on. Alone, Might Dai and the guards alone can put a lot of pressure on Mist Shinobi, but it may be a bit difficult to force him to surrender quickly. Add in Orochimaru and it's different, Sanin. Although the origin of this name is quite shameful, until now, there are very few people who really know the origin. Most of them mention Sanin, and they think of 3 powerful ninjas rampant on the battlefield. The deterrence formed over the years is not comparable to Kyochi, who is not yet well-known Konoha Jonin. I'll go back first, you come here slowly. Kyochi explained to Baiyun early. In a blink of an eye, the person had disappeared into the woods. The few times Kyochi interacted with Orochimaru, many of the times Jiraiya arranged to sit and drink with him, and he didn't drink a glass. Talking about friendship, they really don't count each other, and there was even an intrigue once. But it has to be said that at this time, the sense of security brought by Orochimaru is simply overwhelming. One of Sanin. With such combat power, as long as Kirigakure knows, he will definitely make a choice, otherwise one of the Sanin, Kyochi Kanda, Might Dai and the guards can directly dispatch their lair. When I met Orochimaru, he was drinking tea with Yamanaka Hayi, leisurely, as if everything was under control. If I hadn't watched the anime, I would have thought that this guy was extremely intelligent and thought he had no plans to spare. Kyochi chuckled from the bottom of his heart. As soon as Hai saw him coming back, he took the initiative to get up and give up his seat, and said at the right time, I still have to deal with information over there, the 2 of you will talk first, and you can call me at the camp if you have anything to do. Thank you, Senior Hayi. Kyochi bowed lightly in thanks. Not to mention asking him to dig out information, he has to come out to guard the camp, and with Yamanaka Hayi's status, if it weren't for the face of 3rd generation in Tsunade, how could he be an adult? Yamanaka smiled and said hello to Orochimaru without saying anything, and left the tent. Changed Kyochi to sit down. Orochimaru poured him some tea, and said, You've only been here for less than a month, and everyone admires you. Yes, you're better than I was before. Master Orochimaru was joking, you are a disciple of Master 3rd generation, who will not give you face. Identity is useless, what is useful is your own ability. Orochimaru shook his head lightly. This is what he admires about Kyochi. Although Kyochi has the blood of the Senju clan, except for knowledge and secret techniques, he has almost no use of Senju's power, step by step relying on his own merit and performance to climb up. This is commendable. And what is rare is that Kyochi, like him, has a strong interest in forbidden technique, so Orochimaru feels that he should have a common topic with him, but there seems to be some misunderstanding between the two. Orochimaru pondered for a moment, did not directly enter the topic from that side, but talked about the business first. I put Mist Shinobi's communication bird in the past. Now Yagura should have received a message from Mist Shinobi Anbu. If you want to force down Mist Shinobi, you should have a better chance of winning. I guessed it. Thank you Lord Orochimaru for your help. Kyochi is not stupid. One of Orochimaru's reasons for coming, he naturally understood, and as soon as he said it, the bird in the sky when he left the island before appeared in his mind. At that time, he felt strange that they fought so fiercely that all the birds on this side had already flown away, but the other one couldn't circle around. When I think about it today, I know that it is the communication tool of Mist Shinobi. It can be borrowed later, he wrote it down in his heart. The two chatted for a while about the war on the Eastern Front. Orochimaru agrees with Kyochi's idea very much, and he must force Mist Shinobi to surrender now, otherwise it will be more difficult to deal with when the war starts later. And the success rate is high. He stopped the experiment and came here for this reason. Orochimaru naturally didn't mean to take credit, he just showed kindness. I am not an enemy to him. As for the Jonin exam, neither of them mentioned it, only thinking it was a misunderstanding. Master Orochimaru, are you the one who is researching Ghost Lamp Chikage? Yes, thank you Kyochi-kun. I have always been curious about the physique of the ghost lamp, and you have fulfilled my wish. Orochimaru chuckled softly. Hydration technique. Although it can't live forever, Orochimaru's near immortality made Orochimaru greedy for a while, so he wanted to study one or two, but the ghost lamps are very slippery. In a sense, there are many ways to deal with the ghost lanterns, but they can't stand up fast enough. As long as Ishin wants to run, it is difficult to catch. Kyochi is a special case. When he said this, he took out a scroll. It records the secret techniques, physique research and conjectures of the ghost lamp family. What for me? Kyochi glanced casually and lost interest. Really? This stuff has to match the physique. For example, the pocket is transplanted with the cells of Shuei, so it has the effect of hydration technique. But transplanted cells are not as good as genuine ones after all. It is better not to learn this kind of pirated goods. Obviously, Orochimaru also thought so, so after the research, he lost interest in Ghost Lamp 1000 views. It seems that Kyochi-kun is not interested in this. Orochimaru smiled, then said, so, are you interested in Hashirama cells? Hashirama cells? Kyochi frowned. Orochimaru intends to come here? This is not the same as before. Your grandmother is closer to Naidem, but in the final analysis it is still of the Senju lineage. According to my research, it should be able to fuse Hashirama cells very well to obtain powerful recovery ability and Wood-style secret technique. Orochimaru said. Can you get it? Is he planning to fool himself into being a test subject? Kyochi pondered inwardly. Okay, Kyochi-kun interested? Not interested. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, not expecting Kyochi to say that. After a long time, he regained his composure. It's not easy to fool. That's all. Orochimaru didn't worry too much. His enthusiasm for Hashirama cells has dropped a lot, because he found that although this thing is useful, it may be difficult for him to use it. I want to fool Kyochi, just out of research curiosity. Certainly. He still wants to know. Kyochi-kun, can you tell me why? It's very simple. I read the relevant records in the book. Although it is not comprehensive, I can only guess. I think Shodai's wood style and Muji's healing may be related to vitality. Kyochi said. Orochimaru was lost in thought. Is the wood style of first generation related to vitality? Not impossible. Is there any more? Don't worry, I'm just out of curiosity, and I can exchange some of my own research for your research. Orochimaru is serious. He is really interested, wood style, vitality. It hadn't occurred to me at all. To put it simply, Shodai's wood style is infused with vitality, so it is very powerful. Even if ordinary people transplant cells, unless they are willing to give up vitality, wood style will be the same thing. It is better to cut it with a sword. Kyochi didn't hide his thoughts. Orochimaru was lost in thought. Muji's healing affects lifespan, which he thought of. He lost interest in Hashirama cells because he also considered that first generation is also short-lived. After transplantation, there may be problems that the cure cannot be controlled by itself, and excessive growth can swallow itself. As for wood style, he didn't think about it. Turn out to be. And this layer. As for Kyochi, it's not that he's not interested in Hashirama's cells. He just thinks that Orochimaru's approach is wrong and it's too unsafe. There is no need to take the risk if Tsunade grinds it out. Kyochi-kun has never done research, and he can think of so many things without looking at the data and materials. I really admire it. I feel more and more that you are the same kind of person as I am. Orochimaru's eyes sparkled. He is very excited. Over the years, he has been looking for like-minded people or people with the same interests and hobbies, but unfortunately he has never found it. Although he cooperates with Danzo, Danzo is very low level in his opinion. The methods and thinking are very backward, and there is no like-mindedness at all. Only Kanda Kyochi. Forbearance in the school, education reform. Become a Jonin and unleash the forbidden technique. These were also what he wanted to do, but he changed his mind later, but it didn't prevent him from admiring Kyochi's behavior. Kyochi feeling. Orochimaru came here to deal with Kirigakure probably just incidentally, and more like to fool himself into being his assistant like a pocket, but unfortunately, he has a system. It is okay to study forbidden technique by the way, but it is not necessary to do it specially. He stretched his waist and said, there's no need for a reward. It just happened that Master Orochimaru came to help, and the two offset it. It's not the same. I came to the east for the village. It has nothing to do with you personally. 1 yard belongs to 1 yard. Orochimaru pulled out 2 scrolls. He introduced them one by one. On the left is the software modification, and the right. The one on the right is a creation I didn't put on the table, a special body replacement technique, which is very useful, but Mr. Kyoshi may have to study it by himself. Orochi Flow Body Replacement Technique. This is a good thing. But, although this thing is easy to use, it consumes a lot of chakra and may involve a lot of modification. And the software transformation. Never mind. Don't be in vain. Kyoshi reached out for the software modification. Orochimaru was a little disappointed. He originally thought that Kyoshi would be interested in Orochiyu body replacement technique. After all, it is a brand new technique, and software transformation can be done as long as he studies it himself. Master Orochimaru, I'm afraid you have misunderstood me. As a person, I always study things that are useful, and I am not interested in those that are useless. Kyoshi explained. Orochimaru froze for a moment, then nodded slightly. It's not bad to be pragmatic. Orochimaru didn't stay any longer and found a place to live by himself. Kyoshi opened it for a closer look. Finally, he fell into deep thought, this thing. Kyoshi had to admit that he had a preconceived misunderstanding about Orochimaru's research. The software modification didn't look so good in Orochimaru's hands with the snake, but he got the scroll and looked at it, and found that this thing is really useful. It has 2 methods. A crash course, genetically modifying himself, is Orochimaru's housekeeping. The second is a kind of exercise similar to yoga. The second is the early product of Orochimaru. After the genetic modification was researched, Orochimaru gave up continuing research and practice, but this scroll still contains relevant content and notes. But Kyoshi prefers the second type instead. Workout makeover. Of course, it is not just for transformation, there is a lot of joint knowledge in it, and even joint skills can be developed. These Yuhihon can also learn. If she can learn this, she won't be able to do so much damage with the strange force technique. Good stuff. Kyoshi put it away, thinking about Orochimaru. With his own appearance in Tsunade's return as successor, Orochimaru embarked on a different path from the original. This is really unexpected, that's all. He knows Orochimaru's needs more or less, and if the time is right, he can consider revealing some knowledge to the other party. The key right now is Kirigakure. With the help of Orochimaru, this trip could be much easier. But, at that time, negotiating and wrangling will still be a troublesome matter. For the specific conditions, I will discuss it with Hiei and Orochimaru later. I hope that Cloud Shinobi and Rock Shinobi will move more slowly. When Kyoshi thought of this, a thought suddenly flashed in his mind. Information from Cloud Shinobi and Rock Shinobi. Mist Shinobi must also use Anbu's birds to communicate, just kill them. Kirigakure. Yugura is back again. He often comes to the village, but the reason for coming back these days is the most ridiculous. The first time the group of 7 were killed, but this time it was a threat, and they had to come back and ask about surrendering. He didn't go to Mizukage. Third Mizukage is terminally ill, and it was not easy to support him before, and he hasn't made up his mind yet, so let's discuss it with another person first. Elder Master Yuan. Yugura, what's the matter with you? Our elders are still discussing the matter of reconciliation, and we have to wait a few days. Time is running out. What? Elder Yuan Shi was stunned for a moment, and didn't understand what Yugura meant for a while. But then, he soon realized that there must be new changes on the front line, otherwise Yugura would not have to be like this. What happened? Kyoshi brought people to surrender, and Orochimaru left Konoha. Yugura simply said 2 messages. Kanda Kyoshi. Bring people to surrender, even Orochimaru is out of Konoha village? Master Yuan was stunned for a few seconds. Konoha was too tough this year, completely different from their style. But, thinking about it, too, according to the style of previous years, it is impossible to appoint a 16 or 17-year-old child as a combat commander. With 3rd Hokage's temperament, I am afraid that he will not be able to sleep every day after the appointment. The old man is confident that he knows Sarutobi Hiruzen better, and he feels that Sarutobi Hiruzen will never make such a bold decision. After thinking over and over again, Master Yuan said, "Are there any of us inside Konoha?" He regretted it after asking. Really? Yugura looked at the foolish expression on his face. As the elder of the village, Yuenshi has a lot of authority. He and Yugura even shared Kirigakure Mizukage's affairs during this period, so he shouldn't have made such a low-level mistake. It's just that it's too smooth. Of course there are no Kirigakure people in Konoha, otherwise there is no need to guess here. He thought and thought, but also felt a headache. Konoha is full of confidence, which means to fight directly without giving an explanation. I think there must be a saying in the village. If there is a fight, we will mobilize the Wei Yoruichi and Yuki clans to fight Konoha. If there is no fight, we will reconcile. It doesn't make much sense to procrastinate. Yagura pondered over and over again at the end, and finally expressed his thoughts. Tell me. Master Yuan is old, but not faint. He heard that Yagura was more inclined to the latter, so Yagura must have his own reasons. Yagura was just small, not really young. I can't see through Kyochi's strength. Yagura said, the first time we fought was Chikage Ghost Lamp. I actually didn't expect Chikage to be subdued so quickly. I just thought it was not safe for that guy to hide there. The second time he came to sneak attack. Yagura babbled about the details of his 2 times and his psychological changes, which included many of his analysis and ideas, which were not mentioned in the elder meeting before. Master Yuan's face became more serious, but when Yagura talked about the situation of this confrontation, Master Yuan's face became stiff. We don't know the specifics of the fight this time, but the opponent has learned mist shinobi and silent assassination techniques. The amount of chakra is very large. We released 7 or 8 shunin together, but the opponent alone overwhelmed them. The opponent's silent assassination technique is very high, silent, and the speed is as fast as ultimate. It is easy to kill our Jonin in the mist. Listening to Yagura's description, for some reason, the figure of that man appeared in Master Yuan's mind. This smell is too familiar. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he asked, so, this person's water style, swordsmanship, illusion and physical skills are all very strong, and his comprehension is still very high. What he just got a few days ago has already mastered today. Konoha also has assassination techniques. Although it is slightly different, the essence is the same. Maybe the other party has a deep foundation in the research of assassination techniques and mist shinobi techniques. This was the most likely answer Yagura could think of. In addition to the assassination technique, he thinks he can also do the mist shinobi technique. Because the mist shinobi technique itself is simple, only C-level difficulty, but he can't compare with Kyochi's. Kanda Kyochi's chakra is very large, far exceeding ordinary people. Master Yuan naturally understood. He thought for a long time, and then asked, what do you want to do? Let the elders immediately agree to reconcile with Konoha, and find a way to exchange Woolly Jinba and the 6 swords back. Please Konoha not to spread the mist shinobi technique. Yagura has already figured it out. They are too constrained by Konoha now, and they have no right to bargain with Konoha at all, not to mention, Kirigakure can't stand the mist shinobi technique being announced to the public. This is a guy who eats. I'm afraid they won't be willing. After all, these families really want to benefit from the war. They don't agree. Let them fix the problem, or let us kill them. Yagura said indifferently. Master Yuan has a headache. The difference between Kirigakure and Konoha is that although everyone has many families, on their side, the big and small families have more power. For example, the Wei Yoruichi clan and the Yuki clan often do not obey the orders of the village. Even the clan lands of these 2 clans are not in Kirigakure, and other clans have similar problems. Compared with them, the Ghost Lantern clan is considered safe and loyal. If you follow Yagura's idea, I am afraid that many people will die. At this moment, Master Yuan could feel the feeling of 3rd Hokage. It really is. Processing is not processing is not. I will ask them to give an answer within today. They still have to give me my old face. Thank you, Master Yuan. Master Yuan nodded slightly, and then called for someone to go. This face. Those family elders have to give if they give, and they have to give if they don't. Mist shinobi technique. Yes, we have one more bargaining chip. That's all for now. Kyochi placed his chips in front of Orochimaru and Yamanaka. Yamanaka was thinking about what benefits he wanted, and Orochimaru thought for a second or two, then raised his head and asked, your idea is that you want Kirigakure to send troops to deal with Cloud Shinobi Village? I have this idea. Kyochi didn't hide it, he did have the idea. Orochimaru looked at the map for a few seconds, and then said, no, this is not the condition we should ask. Kyochi thought for a moment, he vaguely grasped something, but couldn't grasp the key for a while. But Yamanaka understood. He smiled and said, Kyochi, you may not know much about Kirigakure. In this village, the family roots are stronger than Konoha. Mizukage may not be able to decide everything. Family? Kyochi's mind flashed, understood. Son Shiwan Sujo. He understood immediately, and said, you mean, the Mist Shinobi's family didn't get any benefits from us, and they will force the village to take benefits from Cloud Shinobi Village? Pretty much. Orochimaru nodded. Then how can we guarantee that he won't stab us later? Yamanaka said at this time. According to his thinking, he naturally agrees with Kyochi's point of view. At this time, let Kirigakure immediately fight Cloud Shinobi Village, so that neither side has time to control the country of fire. But if left unchecked, Kirigakure may not be able to do anything to Konoha. It's not difficult, Mist Shinobi's weakness is obvious. Kyoshi understood it all. In this state of Konoha, if Mizukage and the elders with sufficient prestige are all dead, Yugura will not be able to suppress the rebellion of the Wei Yoruichi and Yuki clans at that time. Even if it is suppressed, the country of water will not be able to fight anymore. Let me do the negotiation. Orochimaru smiled softly. What is your request? Although those families will coerce you, at most we will not take the initiative to mention it, and we still have to express it. Samahata, Thunder Knife and Beheading Sword cannot be returned. Kyoshi said. It is good. Orochimaru didn't hesitate. This condition is too broad, and he can win a lot of benefits. Kyoshi was also relieved. This kind of live Orochimaru is definitely stronger than himself. He also mentioned the matter of cutting off the Mist Shinobi communication. Yamanaka Hayi and Orochimaru agreed unanimously, and even Orochimaru gave a good opinion. Call the ninjas of the Yamashiro clan over here. Those crows are not very good at fighting, but together, they are much stronger than the ninja beasts used for communication. The negotiation is over. Kyoshi found that he had another reward. The evaluation was average, and the reward was the proficiency of bursting water. Definitely Yugura, he doesn't dislike it. The things that leeks offered for offerings were taken for nothing. Also, in the camp recently, everyone has been lazy in practicing silent assassination and Mist Shinobi again. Although his Mist Shinobi and silent assassination skills are perfect and no proficiency is required, this is not a reason for everyone to be lazy. Chunin and Jonin don't need to practice. He mentioned this to Hayi. After a while, near Mount Nagano, everyone began to practice hard again. Kyoshi was relieved, and casually mentioned a few details. He didn't want that reward, he just wanted everyone to become stronger. The most positive one is Moonlight Kazuki. Kyoshi had been practicing before he was supervised, and now he came up directly to ask for advice, without treating himself as a special Jonin at all. The reason is simple, silent assassination and Mist Shinobi are very suitable for the Moonlight clan. The northern border and the northwest were already fighting fiercely, but the eastern border was very peaceful, and this state lasted for 3 days. On the 4th day, Kirigakure came. As agreed before, Kyoshi commissioned Orochimaru to negotiate. Yugura was confused. He was ready to negotiate and communicate with Kyoshi, and he was still thinking about how to deal with it, but in the end, it was not Kyoshi who saw him, but Orochimaru. Punch the air up. Soon, he realized Orochimaru's difficulty, and every sentence pointed directly at Kirigakure's vital point, which made Yugura panic in his heart. If Konoha really wanted to do this, Kirigakure would really be in a mess. The point is, after he thought about it, Konoha could really do it. According to their previous information from Anbu, Konoha's other Namikaze Minato is also incredibly fast. If that person joins hands with Kyoshi. Not to mention Mizukage and Elder Yuan who are seriously ill. Even if they are not ill, they may not be able to beat them. Under some threats, Yugura retreated steadily. Although he fought hard, to be honest, all he got was what Orochimaru was willing to give, such as Totsukusa Yebeden and their respective 3 knives. It's not that Kyoshi and Orochimaru are generous, but that without these people, Kirigakure would not dare to scratch the tiger's whiskers in Cloud Shinobi village. Yugura held his breath and said after talking, I want to meet Kyoshi. I heard that you want to see me. How about it? Did what I taught you benefit you a lot? When Yugura saw Kyoshi, he was speechless for the first time. What the hell? The ones taught. He really couldn't refute it. You can't answer this kind of question, and you still want to be Mizukage? I just didn't expect you to be so young. Yugura quickly regained his composure. This sentence is also true. Kyoshi is too young, he looks 16 or 17 years old at most. The point is, before Kyoshi came out, he wore a mask, making him look like the offspring of White Fang. Now look closely. Isn't this second Hokage? Sure enough, it's Senju's. As a result, he was in a much better mood. Losing to Senju's descendants is not a shame, after all. The ancestors of the 4 major kingdoms were often abused by the 2 Senju brothers, and one more than him is not much. You didn't expect a lot. Didn't you think about the matter of the 7 people? Also, don't think that it's enough for you to learn a little superficially. My tactics are not that simple. Although I don't know what you were talking about, thank you for your suggestion. Yugura's expression was indifferent, and he never admitted that he secretly learned tactics. However, he was quite surprised in his heart. Mist Shinobi is indeed studying Kyoshi's tactics, considering how to combine it with the characteristics of Mist Shinobi's assassination force, and it has been somewhat effective so far. Result. The other party seems to have expected it? Also, the mist shinobi technique and the silent assassination technique in your village are not good enough. I haven't noticed many details. I have to continue to study when I go back. I can't be complacent. Kyoshi chatted with him as he walked, never giving Yagura a chance to ask questions. Yagura wanted to curse from the bottom of his heart. This guy. Can't you say something nice? Why is it so stabbing? Yagura took a deep breath and said, you give pointers? Good guy. It's a material for great things. Kyoshi glanced at it and said, increase the amount of chakra. Not enough chakra. How can you control the mist in your hands? Useless nonsense. Yagura didn't count on Kyoshi for advice, so he took it lightly. But. Next second. But for Cloud Shinobi Village, I can really give you some advice. Please advise. Take the perception ninjas and raid the weak places behind them. There must be emptiness there. The point is, if you don't fight with the reinforcements of the opponent, just leave when you get supplies and benefits. If you don't get entangled, you will definitely not suffer. Kyoshi said. After Kirigakure hits the enemy, absolutely no problem. This seems to be okay. Yagura's eyes lit up when he heard this. Although this method is cowardly, it can guarantee benefits. But then, he said puzzled, aren't you afraid that I will use this method to deal with Konoha? Kyoshi smiled without saying a word. That appearance simply means. You can try. Well, of course I didn't mean that, I was just curious. After pondering for a moment, Yagura asked, what is your village's strategy for Cloud Shinobi Village? Fight. I, Konoha, will never compromise with the enemy. Kyoshi said firmly. Yagura didn't know how to complain, so he just listened seriously. He came to Kyoshi with a simple purpose. I have seen this peerless genius for a long time. As for the follow-up cliché, it is to see that Kyoshi is young and hit a shot casually. It is not a pity that he cannot hit it. Anyway, just trying. Next moment. Kyoshi said earnestly. You mist shinobi have a big problem. There are many families and elders. If you don't deal with the problem, don't think about becoming stronger. You're right. The various families in our village are really troublesome. Kirigakure follows Konoha's lead. I wonder if he can pass on his experience? Simple. Did Uchiha see it in our village? Give them the role of guards, and they will not be able to form a good relationship with the people in the village. Isolate step by step, and finally push them to the opposite side, and then exterminate. Kyoshi slashed with a knife in his hand, full of murderous aura. Yagura was stunned for a long time. To be honest, this plan really looks like that. So, Uchiha's guard is not glory, but a conspiracy carefully planned by Konoha? To be honest, he didn't believe it. No one in the ninja world knows how powerful Uchiha is, and it's not the same way for a strong man to cut his wrist. But it feels like there is such a possibility. Because as far as he knew, Uchiha did seem to be isolated in Konoha village. As for the elders, the two advisors in our village are all in. Now one is studying medicine and the other is teaching Chunin. Real or fake? Guess, or, you Kirigakure can ask Enbu to check. Kyoshi smiled and left, while Yagura struggled. Guess. Guess the hammer. What did you tell him? Orochimaru was curious. Yagura left, but when he left, he had a troubled expression on his face, and anyone with eyes could see the irritability in that mood. It's nothing. I just told them that a village shouldn't have so many voices, like our village's advisor stepped down, and I plan to kill Uchiha later. Ha. Ha ha ha, as expected of Kyoshi-kun. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then chuckled a few times. This is really. Konoha has two attitudes towards Uchiha. The third generation believes that it should learn from the differentiation and absorption of the second generation. Danzo thinks that he should learn from second generation and continue to suppress, even destroying Uchiha. From appearances, both are possible, as for the two advisors. Of course, Orochimaru heard about the transfer of Utatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura. Kirigakure risked his life and sent people to investigate, but this was the only result he could get. True and false, it is really difficult to tell. The deadliest thing is, whether Yagura believes it or not, there is some truth to what Kyoshi said, not just pointing this out. If it weren't for this, Danzo wouldn't have won so many supporters. And what Orochimaru doesn't know is that Kirigakure does exactly that in the anime, except for the elders. Kyoshi can imagine. Yagura must not be able to sleep right now. Eastern reconciliation. But people can't withdraw yet, because Kirigakure's compensation hasn't been sent yet. Orochimaru asked for a bunch of compensation because he didn't explicitly ask Kirigakure to attack Cloud Shinobi Village, and now Wooly Jinhachi and the three of them put it back, but the three knives are still on Kyoshi's side. Mist Shinobi doesn't pay and Kyoshi doesn't pay the balance. This time Mist Shinobi is very straightforward. In just 2 days, their ship arrived at the coast of the Land of Fire. A bunch of detonators. It is difficult to make detonators, and the output has not been high. Peaceful times are fine. But Konoha has already experienced the war with Sand Shinobi, and after a year of rest, he immediately went to war. Where can he have any reserves? Followed by ninja tools, medicinal materials and so on. Although there are no ninjutsu scrolls, these alone are already valuable, enough to solve Konoha's urgent needs. After the supplies were delivered, Orochimaru took a group of people and some supplies to the north. The guard remained on the eastern front. Kyochi was ordered to bring the rest back to Konoha. On the way back, Asuma asked in a low voice, "Teacher, why didn't we go directly to the north to support Teacher Minato and the others? Why do children have so many questions?" Kyochi scolded angrily. In fact, he didn't know the reason, but the order was like this. Ask Tsunade privately. The meaning of Tsunade is very strange. Don't you want to go back? This is a proposition. A woman's mind. Kyochi didn't want to guess. Asuma made fun of it. However, Asuma at this age has an advantage, that is, his thinking is relatively out of bounds, and he quickly forgot about it, and began to think about weapons in his mind. In this battle, he found that the simple kunai could no longer meet the needs of the battle. He needs a weapon that can match Feion, but Asuma didn't want to talk to third generation, so for a while, she was caught in a tangle. How could Kyochi not know what he was thinking? At this time, I know better than Asuma what weapon is suitable for him. As for chakra iron, there's some from third generation, and the rest from him. It is a pity not to use such a good material and characteristics of the beheading sword. By the way, you can build a knife for Shisui. Anyway, there is no such material. Near Konoha, Kyochi looked behind him. The rest of the people around Yamanakahai are still running behind, but they can escort a pile of supplies. How fast can they be? Might Guy, the father and son, rushed back to Konoha's challenge extreme sports before. Either at home or in the hospital by now. Come along, when can you go home? Kyochi went to discuss it with Yamanaka. Yamanaka agreed. There are basically no enemies here, and with the support of the Hyuga clan, even spies don't want to approach here, so there is no need for such an exaggerated defensive lineup. Then, running all the way, in only half an hour, he brought Asuma and the others back to Konoha. Everyone go home and report safety. The next task is not clear yet, but everyone don't stop practicing, understand? When Kyochi said this, he looked at Shisui especially. Shisui understands. He has awakened the Sharingan, but has not mastered it yet. During this period of time, I just read the books in the clan, practiced and adapted quietly, so as not to be unable to adapt to the power of the Sharingan when I really need to use it. Saying goodbye to the 3 children, Kyochi rushed home. This Tsunade. Call yourself back. What's going on? Kyochi is weird. Could it be that I have made great achievements, and now my reputation is spreading overseas? Tsunade is afraid that he will die on the battlefield? Not so. Or, did Tsunade delve into the Muji cure? Kyochi thought of a possibility. This is really not sure. Judging by Orochimaru's meaning, it is obvious that he is not interested in Hashirama cells, and naturally he no longer pays attention to the past materials, and Tsunade may also have obtained a copy. With Hashirama cell data, Tsunade's research on Muji's cure is not half the effort. He didn't think about it anymore, and turned around all the way. A minute later, he arrived home from the entrance of the village. But, seeing the location of his home, Kyochi was stunned for a long time. Nima. Where is my home? He was dazed for a few seconds, and then he saw Shizune open the door and stick his head out. Master Kyochi, welcome home. Shizune, what happened to my house during my absence? Kyochi is dead. I can't say it's been renovated, I can only say it's completely different. The entire exterior wall has obviously been pulled down and redone. After walking in, the yard was also redone, with a small pool in the middle. It's quite elegant, it's the shape of this pool. It's like a boxing hole change. Ahem, your home has been in disrepair for a long time. I repaired it a little. You don't need to thank me. Kyochi was expressionless. Do you believe me? Tsunade coughed in embarrassment. This really seemed unconvincing, but she looked left and right, but she didn't find any flaws. Kyochi sighed. The shape of this pool is too coincidental. Makes sense. Tsunade took a closer look, then nodded in agreement. Just pay attention next time. Is there a next time? Kyochi was startled. Tsunade is really full of force, and there is no cover at all. But he didn't bother to care about it. Although Kyochi inherited the memory of his predecessor, he really didn't have much affection for the yard, so he changed it, but was a little shocked by Tsunade's ability to smash the wall and cause damage. He entered the house and saw that nothing had changed in the house. So, Shizune, what happened? Master Tsunade and Master Kushina. Hey, it's nothing. Just when I was teaching some techniques, I accidentally made a mistake, so the yard collapsed. Tsunade explained softly. Kyoshi turned and was silent again. Nothing happened to his house, but from this angle, the house next door has suddenly changed to a new house. It's really awful. Tsunade is afraid that he is in debt again. But Kushina? Kyoshi forgot about this descendant of the Uzumaki family. It seems that Tsunade came back and taught her about 100 healings mark. But you teach strange power. Isn't this Pit Namikaze Minato? Kyoshi lighted the wax for Minato silently in his heart, and then stopped worrying about the house. Anyway, the compensation is Tsunade's business, and it has nothing to do with him. Tsunade glanced at Shizune. Shizune left in a sensible way and didn't stay here any longer. At this moment, Kyoshi briefly looked at some of Tsunade's recent notes and asked, Miss Tsunade, did your forbidden technique succeed? It's almost there. I want you to come back this time. On the one hand, I want to teach you the forbidden technique. On the other hand, I have an idea and want you to help me. I greeted the old man and he agreed. Tsunade sat down, his face turning serious. This is business. Kyoshi nodded, motioning for her to continue. I've seen your record on the Eastern Front. I won't talk about your performance. The main reason is that I think whether these tactics can be popularized in Anbu and make Anbu's methods more diversified. Tsunade said. Kyoshi pondered for a moment. This is not a problem, but after thinking about it for a while, he felt rather terrified. Anbu. If it is a general promotion, do you still need to come back by yourself? What does Tsunade mean? Why do you feel like letting yourself take over Anbu? What do you mean? I want you to train a group of Anbu ninjas. If the results are good, Anbu will be taken over by you later, and you will be responsible for some of Anbu's plans. Tsunade is straight to the point. Kyoshi was stunned for a moment. That's true. Anbu. The power of Anbu in each ninja village is not small. Although it is not as good as Hokage in Konoha, Anbu is responsible for many external affairs. Danzo used to be the coordinator of Anbu, but he was divided in power in recent years, and then he established a root organization by himself. But if Kyoshi becomes the captain of Anbu, then Kyoshi has the final say on whether to send manpower to general. The key is, this seems to be able to pull a wave of wool. Because most of the people who can enter Anbu are talents, people like Kakashi and Itachi have played for Anbu. However, he then thought that he still had a class to lead. This is tangled. You don't have to worry too much. It's just an idea and experiment. If possible, it won't be too late to promote it later. Tsunade knows Kyoshi's concerns, Asuma and the three of them. The three of them are now better than many Chunins, but they are still a little short of Anbu's requirements. So, right now, Kyoshi simply doesn't have the energy to manage Anbu alone. What is the attitude of Lord Third Generation? Kyoshi thought about it and asked again. Tsunade was silent for a moment, and then said, he plans to retire and go to the front to help Jiraiya. Return. This time? Kyoshi was stunned for 2 or 3 seconds, then rubbed his temples, and said with a headache, don't be afraid that the front will be unstable if you step back at this time, old man. This is the best time. You just forced to surrender to the Eastern Front. Of course, I'm not idle. Tsunade said, high-spirited, your sister, I have returned to the operating table. Not only that, I have also drafted a plan for your psychological medicine. Oh. Seeing his reaction, Tsunade couldn't help being stunned for a while. Oh? Can't you be a little excited? Anyway, I have overcome great difficulties, okay? She pouted. Is it serious overcoming? Well, my problem has been solved a lot, but there is some discomfort. This small discomfort does not affect the operation at all. Tsunade explained. Mental illness is related to knots in the heart, and if the knots are relieved, they will naturally heal without medicine. Specifically how to solve it, Tsunade didn't mean it, and Kyoshi didn't ask when he saw it. But Tsunade can think about it, he is still very happy. I learned this technique. Tsunade handed over the scroll. Then, she looked at her necklace and said, I wanted to give this necklace to you, but I thought about it a while ago. I still keep this necklace for myself. I want to take their expectations as this Hokage. They will see, maybe one day, you have a chance to meet each other? Kyoshi nodded. Luckily you didn't give it to me. The chain is too heavy for us to wear. After hearing this, Tsunade was silent for a moment, then shook his head and said, forget it, I don't know how to feel when we meet again, and you must not get involved with that kind of technique. I know, I'm not interested in that technique. Kyoshi stretched. Impure world reincarnation. It is indeed useful, but it is more of a pitfall. Like Yukushi Kabuto reincarnated so many strong people, as a result, as long as they are slightly stronger, they can break free. In the end, it became a dream come true. It seems that Orochimaru gave up and took the risk to study. What are you drawing? What he thinks about in his mind is more about Anbu. In fact, Konoha Anbu himself knows these tactics, but everyone belongs to the experience stream, and does not form cognition systematically. Simply put, there is a lack of systematic guidelines. Kyoshi recalled for a moment, Anbu at this time. There seems to be a lot of talent left. I want to see the list first. Kyoshi put the ninjutsu scroll aside. Ninja art. Meiotic regeneration must be learned, but there is no rush. Anbu training must be put on the agenda as soon as possible. The war is in full swing, and there is simply no time to delay. I'm ready. Tsunade pulls out the list. This is something that only Hokage is qualified to see, but at present third generation has given her all of it. It can be said that, except for the name of Hokage, the rest is already done by Tsunade. Including at home now, there are many materials brought out by Hokage's office. Kyoshi takes over. Konoha Anbu has a total of 70 people, and has 4 teams under its jurisdiction, and Gen is one of the teams. Tsunade got the 53-man roster from third generation. First of all, Sarutobi Shinosuke. At that time, he was the captain of Anbu, and his wife was the captain of the sub-team, and all the executions belonged to the combat team. Master third generation is really harsh on his own children. Kyoshi sighed softly. Both of these were strong, but died after 3 battles in the anime. He also had some conjectures. Most likely, in the year when Sarutobi's new assistant Cloud Shinobi Village robbed Hinata, as an elite Jonin of Grandmaster Earth style, he was really powerless to meet a lightning style ninja. That's why I need your help. It's not that I don't trust them, but that Anbu's mission is too dangerous. They have been working for so many years, and they should live a normal life. Tsunade said. This made Kyoshi unable to complain. Dangerously let me go. What about the pit brother? He read page by page, and when he saw a person, his eyes stopped for a moment. Little Hyuga Mukai. This person, Little Hyuga's family is a distant relative of the Hyuga clan. He just joined. Although he hasn't awakened and turned his eyes, he has performed very well in Anbu training. He is a good seed. Tsunade said. Well, he is in the combat team. Just reorganized, let's use his team as the special training team. It is good. Seeing that Kyoshi agreed to come down, Tsunade thought about it and added, it doesn't matter if you don't want to be the captain of Anbu, and it doesn't matter if you promote someone else later. If there is a suitable candidate, let someone else take it. Kyoshi smiled when he said this, my appearance is too eye-catching. Anbu ninjas are best with the most ordinary appearance. Young, silver-haired, and Konohas again. There are not many such features. It makes sense. Tsunade thought for a long time, and finally nodded. The appearance characteristics are too obvious, and there is almost no difference between wearing a mask and not wearing a mask, so the hidden meaning is lost. Let Asuma and the others also participate in the special training. Anyway, teaching one class is teaching, and teaching 2 or 3 classes is also a teaching. No problem. The next day. Dead Forest. 3 teams gather. Asuma and the Might Guy team, and the most special team is of course Hyuga Mukai's team. They wear 4 masks, owl, cat, dog, and eagle. I'll call you 4, A, B, C, and Ding for the time being. The squad leader is A, and the rest will be divided among you. Kyoshi said. Asuma and the others have been graduating for several months, and naturally they are not ignorant. These masks can be seen as Anbu's ninjas at a glance. Why did the teacher pull Anbu to train with them? It's too fierce. While they mused, little Hyuga Mukai was also watching Kyoshi, who was assigned to Ding because he was the youngest in the class. Kanda Kyoshi. Of course they have heard of this name, especially the deeds of 4 people leading a team to destroy the 2 strongholds of Mist Shinobi. Mr. Kyoshi, what are we practicing? Let me ask first, how much do you know about my tactics? For this set of tactics, Kyoshi is actually not that proficient. After all, he was only an elementary school trainee teacher in his previous life, and he didn't study these tactics in depth. But after a practice, it is more than enough to teach them. Quick battle. Lil Hyuga Mukai spoke first. Anbu has researched and studied privately, and knows no less than Shisui and the others. Yes, a quick victory is very important, but how do you compare with the 7? Little Hyuga Mukai shook his head. Quick battles are important, but the most important thing is not strength. Owl, next to him said. Kyoshi glanced over. Of course he knew the identity of this guy. Old acquaintance, Moonlight and One Tree. This old thief. I listened to a class before, let's put it here to show off, right? Otherwise you come. Tsukiko Kazuki is the squad leader of this class, but the previous members of this class have suffered a lot of losses. The members have just been transferred and reorganized, and young Hyuga Mukai is a new member. This. Cough, Master Kyoshi is joking, what can I do? Moonlight laughed. He disguised his voice, but seeing Kyoshi's attitude, he knew that his identity had already been known by the other party. I brought your team here for many reasons. One of the reasons is that you have just reorganized and have not experienced the training of the Anbu system. Kyoshi didn't explain in depth, but anyone who can enter Anbu must understand what he means. As for Asuma and the others, he was originally an auditor, so there was no need to take care of him too much, as he could understand as much as he could. Kyoshi paused, and said, your group has relatively complete attributes. Next, I have a request. First, all of you must master Mist Shinobi and Silent Assassination combat capabilities. Yes. Moonlight nodded. In this group, he is the only one who knows the Mist Shinobi technique, but it is not difficult for everyone to adapt to fighting in the fog. You were responsible for learning this technique. Kyoshi took out a ninjutsu scroll. This is the Earth Spear scroll he wrote, and the ninja he confessed is called Sarutobi Hiroki. Although he is not the son of third generation, he is also a ninja from the Sarutobi clan who is good at Earth style. Little Hyuga Mukai's eyes gradually brightened. Mist Shinobi, Silent Assassination, Earth Spear. Unless you meet a lightning-style ninja, it's an excellent combination for assassination. This is the body flicker technique and some techniques of assassination that I have summed up. This is the first activity of the 7-day invocation. Kyoshi took out another scroll. Everyone was dumbfounded. Little Hyuga Mukai peeked at him, shocked. At first, he thought that Kyoshi's status as a combat commander was a bit off, but when he saw all kinds of things he hadn't heard of thrown out like a sail, he immediately understood. This Jonin, who is not a few years older than him, is serious. Let's practice together first. The first activity is mainly voluntary except for Anbu. Kyoshi said flatly. 7-day exhalation has only the first activity, but it is much stronger than breathing activity. Anbu's team must learn from it. Yes, everyone responded. So, throughout the whole day, they were learning the 7-day call. Kyoshi watched secretly, he vaguely remembers. This little Hyuga Mukai seemed to wake up and roll his eyes. The little Hyuga clan separated from the Hyuga family very early, so it is unlikely to be awakened logically, but just like the Wind Festival Mo Huang can also awaken wood style, the intermarriage bloodline after several generations is still possible to awaken. So, after secretly observing, the next day, after some tests, Kyoshi continued to let them practice, and then, ding, you come with me. Yes. Although little Hyuga Mukai didn't understand, he obeyed the order and followed Kyoshi. After walking for a while, he knew that he was far away from the captain and the others. What on earth does this Kyoshi Jonin want to do? He was thinking, when suddenly he heard a sentence that made him tremble all over. Little Hyuga clan, have there been people who have been awakened in the past? Little Hyuga Mukai shuddered. The biggest secret in his life is his white eyes. Before he joined Anbu, even the Lord Third Generation hadn't discovered it, but the man in front of him. How come? He was puzzled and panicked for a while. Sure enough, you have awakened from another generation just like me. Kyoshi said flatly. I don't understand what the adults mean. Little Hyuga said to the well. 7-day invocation, you can master it in 1 day. If you have never learned breathing activation technique, 8 inner gates, or medical ninjutsu, there is only one explanation. You have a very deep understanding of the chakra vein of the human body. Kyoshi said flatly. Mukai raised his head, and the cat mask stopped. Although I can't see the expression, I think he must be shocked and regretful at this time, and at this time he has rolled his eyes. Only one, but enough for gentle fist and 8 trigrams palms. The posture he is posing now is exactly the opening gesture of the Hyuga clan. Kyoshi didn't speak, just looked at him indifferently. After a long time, Mukai lowered his hand dejectedly. I am not your opponent. I thought I would be rewarded for practicing fast, but I didn't expect to expose my secret. I'm really not reconciled. The bad luck of the branch house is about to befall the little Hyuga family. A drop of tear dripped from beneath the mask. Kyoshi was silent. He watched little Hyuga Mukai for a few seconds, and some memories gradually came to his mind. You hate Hyuga. Who wouldn't hate it? Although I'm not a member of the branch house, why should people outside the clan be stamped with shame and serve the clan like slaves? Mukai said bitterly. Kyoshi sighs. The contradiction between the Hyuga clan and the branch house is known to Konoha Jonin. Unlike Uchiha, the Hyuga clan is very obedient, and Konoha has no reason to attack them, even if it is difficult for him to intervene. He thought for a while and said, take off your mask. Yes. Mukai took off his mask. He is only 1 or 2 years younger than Kyoshi, and his left eye is obviously white at this time, while his right eye is normal. Are there many people like you in your family? Only me. As you can see, I have only one eye. Said to the well. Kyochi nodded. Have you ever betrayed the village? What? Mukai was stunned for a moment, then remained silent for a few seconds, then shook his head and said, I have considered selling information to other villages after I become stronger, but I haven't done so yet. He was also broken. After all, hiding his eyes, hating the Hyuga family, and dissatisfaction with Konoha are enough to give him the motivation to sell information. Even if he does not confess, he may still be interrogated by the torture department and the Yamanaka family. He didn't want to be tortured like that. I'll let Yamanaka check it out, and if it's true, I'll help you. Kyochi left after saying that. Mukai's expression was dull. He was ready to commit suicide, but instead of killing him, Kyochi said he wanted to help him. Why? He doesn't quite understand. Mukai knew very well that Kyochi's strength must be very terrifying, and it would be easy to kill him. Kyochi literally left without looking back. He put kunai back into the ninja bag, put on the mask, and followed puzzledly. But he was curious what Kyochi was talking about helping him. Help him hide it? You want him to learn the 4-element sealing technique in exchange for the Hyuga clan not having a caged bird? Tsunade frowned. Why? Little Hyuga is a small family, not even a family. They are just a family that has been separated for several generations. The chance of one is very low. Kyochi said. But what about his offspring? Tsunade shook his head. The Hyuga clan won't agree. Descendants, deal with it first. Kyochi smiled. Tsunade froze for a moment. This means that Kyochi may do something to the Hyuga family in the future. She thought about it. It's true, the contradiction of the Hyuga clan is the main family in the branch house, but in fact, the main body serving Konoha is not the main family, but the branch house. If the Hyuga family can be avoided, then contacting Caged Bird will not damage Konoha's strength. The only problem is how to prevent Bayan from being taken away by the enemy. She scratched her hair. This stinky boy had another problem for himself. Tsunade slammed the table and said irritably, No, you have to give a reason, otherwise, under the current circumstances, there is no point in offending Hiyashi for him. This kid is talented and smart. I want to train him to be the next generation of Captain Anbu. Kyochi stated his purpose. I can't always carry it by myself, it's too tiring and not interesting. This answer. Tsunade was speechless for a moment. It's so real. But just treat her as one of his own, otherwise Kyochi wouldn't say such words. Tsunade also understood, so he took a deep breath and said, Konoha has this technique, but I can find a chance to give it to him until he has done some meritorious service. Before that, you can teach him the 4-elephant seal. Understand. Can't let the Zong family have an idea at the moment. However, Kyochi thinks that Hiyashi doesn't necessarily have the desire to change. After having Hinata, he probably didn't think about it, but before having Hinata, he should still have some ideas. Because the twins, Hiyashi and Hizashi, had a really good relationship before. Once you have kids, it's a whole different story. People's hearts are always changing. The next day, Kyochi didn't tell Mukai the result directly, but secretly found Yamanaka Hayi and asked him to check the little Hyuga Mukai secretly. After spending half a day, it was determined that Mukai had not had time to betray. Only then did Kyochi tell him the result. Mukai was ecstatic. He didn't expect such a technique to exist. If so, he could really avoid the Hyuga clan's troubles. Thank you Kyochi-sama, he knelt down in thanks. This result is already very good. He thought that he would either seal his eyes or accept Caged Bird, but he never thought that there was a third way. What else is there to ask for? Child. Whether there will be white eyes in the future is still a question. Have you mastered chakra nature transformation? No, I have been secretly studying taijutsu and gentle fist, but I haven't thought much about ninjutsu. Mukai is very sincere. This is the practice of most of the Hyuga clan. Ninjutsu, swordsmanship, and illusion dispelling are all practiced. You only have one eye. If you practice gentle fist dead on, you will have no future. Only by combining multiple methods can you exert your greatest strength. Kyochi said. One of Mukai's weaknesses is illusion. He doesn't want Captain Anbu, who Tsunade has an illusion weakness. Mukai nods. After a while, he has been training the Anbu team, and the village has also been paying attention. Half a month later, Kyochi was training the 3 teams in taijutsu and coordination, and Tsunade brought the news, Cloud Shinobi Village really got their hands dirty. It's different from the little friction before. This time, it is I and Killer Bee who have gained fame in Cloud Shinobi Village in recent years. Third Reikage is also said to have left Cloud Shinobi Village. Certainly. There is Orochimaru in the north, so there is nothing to worry about, and Jiraiya is the most stressed. Cloud Shinobi Village hands-on, is Onogi still far away? Kyoshi knew that the peaceful life of these few days had passed, but he was not at a loss, because in the 10 days of teaching, he gained several Earth-style ninjutsu and proficiency. Not to mention common techniques such as Earth Shore Return, what Kyoshi values most are Rock Shinobi Technique and Earth Flow Taihi. The former can shuttle in rocks. The latter Kyoshi learned from 3rd generation. It's just that this wave of proficiency is directly full, which greatly improves the effect of his seal formation and operation. As for the Earth Flow River, mudslides engulf people, and ice escapes the permafrost. Not a perfect control fit. Bingdon learned not to use it, which is simply a stupid way of doing it. Kyoshi wasn't going to hide. So, in addition to training recently, he has been engaged in research on ice escape, and he has studied wood style before, so the research on chakra attribute fusion has a long history. Writing notes now is mainly for others to read. With one set, there is no fear of being investigated at all. Tsunade also already knew that Kyoshi was studying chakra fusion, and she wanted to persuade him, but Kyoshi was studying shadow clone, and the ontology was studying ninja art, meiotic regeneration, so she didn't say anything. The bedding is full, and you can take it out when you need it later. Not to mention, with the Mist Shinobi technique as a cover, it may not be known by others before it is used up. That's what I did with the Mist Shinobi last time. But it was a headache for Kyoshi. 3rd generation is serious, the old man really wants to go to the battlefield. Tsunade, don't persuade me anymore, and there is still Kyoshi in the battle. I just need to watch Onogi. If it doesn't work, I have a whole card to deal with Onogi. Stop setting the flag, old man. Isn't your whole card the ghoul sealed? Kyoshi didn't know how to complain. Just let Kyoshi lead the team and cooperate with Jiraiya, it's really unnecessary. East is also on guard, and Jiraiya and Kyoshi can't hold that guy down. 3rd generation shook his head. It wasn't just the north and northwest that he worried about, but also the waterlands and Danzo in the east. Utatane Kaharu, Mitokado Homura stepped down. It is difficult for him to guarantee whether Danzo will cause trouble, and only he can rest assured that Iwagakure will go there in person. In fact, he has exchanged these words with Tsunade several times. This time Tsunade wanted Kyoshi to persuade him. But how to persuade? What people say is the truth. Now that the plot is different, Kyoshi can't guarantee that Danzo will not jump the wall in a hurry, so the words of 3rd generation really convinced him. Okay, get out. Tsunade waved. Unable to persuade, let him go. Anyway, the affairs of the army in the village have been explained long ago. There is not much difference between the presence and absence of the 3rd generation. Tsunade advised, but he just didn't want the 3rd generation to go to the battlefield again. In their 50s. Not too old, but not too young. Konoha will leave it to you, I believe you can do better than me. 3rd generation sighed with emotion. This is the truth. He thinks that Tsunade can do better than him. After all, Tsunade advocated reforming the medical ninja system a long time ago, and at that time, including him, he didn't think there was any problem with the medical system. It turns out Tsunade was right. Because of her reforms, Konoha's medical skills are still the top of the 5 major countries. And myself. Ashamed, I didn't make an inch of merit. 3rd generation removed Hokage's cloak and cape, revealing the ninja vest underneath, and led Kyoshi out of the Hokage building. The bottom genin was shocked. 3rd generation want to set off together? This, Master Hokage, this can't be done. There was a commotion underneath. But the Jonins are all old gods, and obviously got the news long ago. Master 3rd generation personally conscripted Onogi because Konoha had successors. Onoki broke his waist and had no reliable heir. He had to take the risk to leave the village at an old age. That is sad. After Kyoshi finished speaking, the noise below became quieter. Like, makes sense. But Iwagakure isn't that bad, is it? The 3rd generation is slanderous. Onoki is now in his 60s. Although his body is frail and various problems are beginning to emerge, his strength is indeed strong, otherwise he and Danzo would not have to worry so much. Therefore, it is definitely not a big problem to live for more than 10 years. Certainly, it is also true that Iwagakure has no successor. Apart from Onoki, there is no other person who has learned Dust Escape. Although Dust Escape is not the only requirement of Tsuchikage, without Dust Escape, Iwagakure's strength will be greatly reduced, not to mention being reduced to the first level of Sanagakure and Kirigakure, but at least he cannot be as powerful as he is now. Set off. After Kyoshi finished speaking, a group of people, whoosh, left. They knew that Kyoshi was much faster than them and would definitely catch up soon, while 3rd generation was thinking on the sidelines. Isn't mobilization your own business? As a result, I didn't say a word, and Kyoshi snatched everything away. He squinted at Kyoshi. Master Hokage, shall we go too? Cough. Let's go. Third generation did not study carefully. He just lamented that Kyochi's prestige was much higher than before after the East War. Changed before. He is a teenage jonin, not only will no one be convinced when he says this, but he will feel that he is arrogant. And now. You are strong and you are right. During this trip, many Anbu followed, among them Sarutobi Shinosuke personally led the team to protect third generation. In addition to him, the intelligence department and the war department have a lot of manpower. And that's just Anbu ninjas. Regular ninja takeaways are even more so. In this battle, third generation put a lot of money into it and wanted to fight Onoki to the end. Teacher, are you looking for me? Well, how is your lightning style nature transformation going? Kyochi asked. Shisui's lightning style started practicing these days. Kyochi is concerned, but he doesn't know the specific results. After all, he trained 10 people before, not him alone. After hearing this, Shisui scratched his head and said with shame, Teacher, my lightning style talent seems to be average. Although I have mastered lightning style chakra nature transformation, the effect is not strong. It's okay. This knife is more earth style, you use it first. Kyochi handed him Raidouya. Of the 6 knives seized before, only Samahata, Raidou, and Beheading Broadsword are left in his hands, and the rest are all returned to Kirigakure, and these 3 knives have been processed by Konoha seal. Kirigakure can no longer summoning go. In fact, the most suitable object for Raidou is not Shisui. But that guy, I don't know if the horns are broken. In addition to Thunder Saber, he also gave Shisui a short sword. This is the part he used to smelt and forge the beheading sword. The material is not very strong, but it is definitely better than Shisui's own. Asuma's side is more comfortable. He got a tailor-made chakra fist blade, and in the past 10 days, he has also learned the breath activation technique, and his physical skills have also improved a lot. In terms of strength, the one who has improved the least is Yuhihong. In the past 10 days, she has been exercising gymnastics and medical ninjutsu, and basically did not study illusion. After following Kyochi for a long time, she gradually understood that although genjutsu is useful, it can only be used as an auxiliary method, and the real killer depends on physical jutsu and medical ninjutsu. She considers her talent to be mediocre. Except for these 3, she has no intention of learning more ninjutsu. Obviously. Red remembered Kyochi's poisonous chicken soup. Kyochi watched as he ran. Not counting him, Asuma and the others are strong enough to compete with many strong Chunin teams, and the 3 of them have good skills. After rushing for a while, Kyochi called them over while everyone was resting. Ms. Kyochi, I give you a chance to choose. Kyochi's face was serious. Rock Shinobi has a large number of people, and their strength is also strong. They are not at the same level as Mist Shinobi. The tasks that follow me are very difficult. You can choose to perform tasks with other teachers. Teacher, what are you talking about? No matter how difficult the task is, you need someone to perform it. Anyone else will be in danger. We are also ninjas, and we have the will to protect the village and our companions. Asuma broke the table for the 2nd time, but these are his words from the bottom of his heart. Teacher, we have learned a lot in these few days of special training, and we won't be unable to cooperate with you like last time. Shisui also echoed. Last time on the island, they couldn't find North in the fog, let alone cooperate with Kyochi. This time is different. After more than 10 days of training, they are already very familiar with Mist Shinobi and Silent Assassination. They are confident they can keep up. I said in the ninja school that no one can protect others 100% on the battlefield, especially those of you who have just graduated. Maybe even a small trap will take your life. When Kyochi said this, he paused, and then said, I only have one request, obey the order. Yes. The 3 answered in unison. Third generation, who was resting not far away, showed a hint of relief and disappointment on his face. Seeing Asuma's high spirits and confidence, he sighed in a low voice. I am not a qualified father. Asuma will understand sooner or later. Beside him, a masked ninja said. Not only Asuma, but to you and to Asuma, I have not fulfilled my father's duties, especially this kid, but Kyochi is more like me than me. The reason Sarutobi Hiruzen sighs the most is Kanda Kyochi is less than 17 years old. In comparison, I really failed. Sarutobi Shinosuke has nothing to say, because Sarutobi Hiruzen has indeed failed in teaching children, including himself. Most of them rely on the clan and teachers to teach. But after following third generation for many years, he knows the reason very well. Third generation is too busy. Hokage's duties took all his energy away. Certainly. He also admitted that. For so many years, third generation has only kept Konoha from decaying too much. Faced with the chaotic situation, the old man seems to be a little powerless in terms of ability. Hope the future will be different. He fixed his eyes on Kyochi. Third generation naturally chose Tsunade, but everyone knows the reason for Tsunade's succession. So, the future of Konoha lies with Kyochi Kanda. Start again. On the way, Kyochi saw the moving army again. This time they did not move to the interior of the Fire Country, but went south to the Kikyo mountain area that was affected by the war last year. There is no war there this year, relatively peaceful. But so far, according to the information sent from the front, Iwagakure has not directly reached the border of the Land of Fire, and the war is maintained at the border of the Land of Grass. Therefore, the Kingdom of Fire is pretty good. The Country of Grass is different. It is located between the Land of Earth and the Land of Fire. Onoki dare not provoke Hanzo, but he is very courageous to attack the Land of Grass. But Kyochi looked at the intelligence and saw that they had overlooked a point. Master Hokage, after entering the Land of Grass, I want to take someone to check the area from the Land of Grass to the Land of Rain. The Kingdom of Rain remains neutral this time. Third generation wondered why Kyochi chose to go there. Kyochi picks up a piece of information. This is yesterday's report. Look, it's mentioned here that many of the villagers in the Country of Grass have already moved to escape the war, but we in the Country of Fire don't seem to have received many reports of the villagers from the Country of Grass crossing the border. Master Hokage, it is indeed wrong. Most of the villagers from the Land of Grass ran to our Land of Fire. Sarutobi Shinosuke said. He is Captain Anbu. Naturally, he has studied the past state of the Country of Grass. No one from the Country of Grass wants to settle in the Country of Fire. However, the two countries are allies, and the Country of Fire cannot accept too many people from the Country of Grass. Rao is so. Every time of war, there will be many attempts to cross the border. However, haven't seen it this year. Strange. Sarutobi Shinosuke read it carefully, and felt that something was wrong. You mean? Third generation frowned. Next to the Country of Grass are the Country of Taki and the Country of Rain, but the villagers of the Country of Taki are quite xenophobic. Generally, people from the Country of Grass would not go there, but the Country of Rain. The environment over there is not very good, but the Land of Rain seems to be the most likely possibility. You can't go to the Country of Earth, can you? Thinking of Hanzo's neutrality and some past events, third generation gradually understood. It seems that Hanzo said he is neutral, but he is not idle. These villagers may have gone to the Land of Rain. Third generation said. Why? Sarutobi Shinosuke is weird. Hanzo has seldom moved in these years, and he seems to be lying flat. Now that he does this, doesn't it attract everyone's attention again? The third generation doesn't understand either. But Kyochi understood in an instant. No wonder there was a strange reward before. It really is the wool of the Land of Rain. Yahiko listened to his own words, and estimated that when he returned to the Land of Rain, he took refuge in Hanzo, intending to save the country with a curve, first to win Hanzo over, and then to draw it slowly. That's not bad. Hanzo is not weak. With his protection, Madara will not take action against them even if he is upset for a while. Perhaps Hanzo saw the opportunity coming and became ambitious again. I want to investigate and see the specific situation. Kyochi said. Alright, anyway, Onoki hasn't fully attacked the Country of Grass yet, we still have a lot of time. Third generation nodded, agreeing to Kyochi's plan. But he went on to say, you are the only team that is not safe. Let the Xiao Xiao team follow you. You can make follow-up decisions yourself. You don't have to keep reporting to me and asking for instructions. Yes. The Owl is the Moonlight Kazuki team. The meaning of third generation is obviously to delegate power to Kyochi. Let him lead the team of Tsukiko Kazuki to figure it out. Kyochi thought about it, and asked third generation for a set of costumes for Anbu. There are clothes and masks. Afterwards, he brought things back to Shisui and the others, and took out clothes for them to change into. The three were very excited. After changing, Asuma said excitedly, Teacher, am I joining Anbu? No, you're just a temporary worker. Kyochi said lightly, if you have nothing to do, you will work, and if there is something to do, you will be dragged out to take the blame. What? Asuma froze for a moment. Of course he knew that Kyochi was joking, but what's the logic in the second half of the sentence? Yu Hahong thought about it while arranging the equipment. After pondering for a while, she understood a little bit, and said with a smile, Anbu has Anbu's rules, but temporary workers don't understand. It's like a medical ninja. In Konoha Hospital, something similar seems to have happened. Asuma gets it. What a bad thing they did, it's all because they don't understand the rules, right? Treacherous. He slandered in his heart, set off. Tsukiko Ichiki and the others got the order and went to the Country of Grass first, but when they reached the border of the Country of Grass, Kyochi still caught up with them. Little Hyuga greeted Kyochi respectfully when he saw Kyochi. Since confirming the ingredients, Kyochi has been teaching and instructing him. In the past 10 days, he has received the most advice. Kyochi did not teach him ninjutsu or swordsmanship for the time being, but taught him his own physical skills, including soft body training, and passed him a copy. It can be said that Mukai received Kyochi's taijutsu inheritance. Corresponding. These days, Kyochi often gains proficiency in taijutsu moves and soft body exercises. But at present, Kyochi has not been rewarded with a mentor. Visible. People who are older, bitter and bitter, are indeed not so easy to fool. Kyochi sighed from the bottom of his heart, but he didn't care too much. Teaching little Hyuga Mukai itself is not for reward either. The country of grass is not big. After arriving at the border, not long after, they saw villagers moving on the road. Master Kyochi, they are heading west, are they going to the land of rain? Kyochi nodded. Sure enough, as he thought, there were not many people migrating in 2s and 3s, but they could not stand it every day. During this period of time, many people may have flowed into the land of rain. I don't know if Grass Ninja Village has reacted. Then what shall we do? Moonlight was confused. Let him kill, he is unequivocal, but thinking about these is not his specialty. Look first, understand the specific situation, and then see how to act. Kyochi body flicker technique catch up. The two teams headed west, and neither of them spoke. If it is not a last resort, no one wants to leave their homeland. At present, only a small part of the country of grass migrates, and they are all poor people, so it seems that Saoren village doesn't want to take care of it. Yahiko, this guy is really transparent. Kyochi sighed in his heart. The poor are the least valued. But for the sparsely populated rain shinobi village, these populations are strength. As long as half of the 10 can be transformed into ninjas, they will make a lot of money. And the soft knife cuts the flesh and is not easy to be found. Teacher, 10 teams. Shi Hihong's tone was tense. Apart from Kyochi and little Hyuga Mukai's white eyes, Hong's perception is the strongest, and at this moment he has discovered the ninja of the land of rain. 10 squads. No matter how strong the teacher is, it is still extremely difficult to meet 10 teams. Not only does Kyochi know that there are 10 teams, but he also knows that Conan is there too. Not only that, the mountains in front of her are full of paper butterflies, and once they step into the range, Conan will perceive their tracks. After taking refuge in Hanzo, Conan's technique is stronger than before. Mukai quietly opened his eyes, only to see a large piece of paper butterflies attached to chakra. He was shocked. He closed his eyes calmly. Just as he was hesitating whether to speak or not, Kyochi raised his hand to signal everyone to stop. He breathed a sigh of relief. 2. How could the teacher not find out? Walk. Kyochi motioned for everyone to back off. After retreating, a piece of paper turned into a butterfly, which flew silently into the forest and mixed with a group of butterflies. Not far away. Conan looked strange. This. Where did the paper butterfly come from? Her heart moved, and she let those paper butterflies wrap it back. A blank sheet of paper. But with chakra attached to it. She rubbed her fingers, thoughtfully. Kanda Kyochi. He came. And when did this guy learn her origami skills? She was annoyed in her heart, but then she couldn't help feeling a little bit of joy and admiration. What a talent Kyochi is, he would spend time studying his own technique, which is enough to prove that his origami technique is unique. What I admire is, this guy really did his research. This wave is over. Let's stop for a while, lest the target is too big. Yes. Well, I'll go find Yahiko first. After Conan finished speaking, body flicker technique left. After some hurrying, she found Yahiko, who was commanding and appeasing at the place where the villagers were resettled nearby, and whispered to him about Kyochi. At night, a mountaintop. After Yahiko and Conan dealt with everything, they lurked and waited at the border of the grass country. He didn't know if Kyochi would come, but Yahiko decided to give it a try. After a while, a figure emerged from the rock. You two, long time no see, familiar face. Although there is an extra mask, it is not difficult to judge from the breath and hair that it is Kyochi's shadow clone in front of him. Seeing Kyochi, Yahiko bowed deeply and solemnly. Thank you very much for your teaching. If it weren't for your guidance, Li Xiao's future would be hard to predict. It seems that you have gained a lot from Hanzo. Yahiko nodded, and briefly talked about his situation during this time. Conan was on the side, manipulating the paper butterfly to lurk around to prevent anyone from eavesdropping. After he bid farewell to Kyochi, he managed to meet Hanzo after some manipulations. After that, I had a long talk with Hanzo all night, and Hanzo recognized his ideas and abilities. Although he confiscated his disciples, he taught them a lot of skills. After talking about his experience, he also briefly talked about his plan. Konan hesitated to speak. She wanted to say that the other party might not be trustworthy, but then thought. If Kyochi wants to report, there is no need to point Yahiko before. That's the way it is. The plan is good, but when you start to act, you will be exposed to everyone's sight, and Omura may regard you as an enemy in the future. Kyochi reminded. I understand, if it doesn't work, you can combine with Sanagakure. Yahiko nodded. Of course he knows this, but if he doesn't take a step, it is impossible to succeed. Your mission areas overlap, and it is impossible for Sand Shinobi to cooperate with you. Kyochi shook his head. Besides, they're not afraid of Hanzo. Hanzo used 1 against 3, a large part of which was because he had a special poison, and Chio of Sand Shinobi perfectly cracked this toxin. After hearing this, Yahiko paused for a moment before saying, Master Hanzo didn't mention this. After all, it's not a good thing. How could he explain it to you? In fact, a lesson is more profound. It's just that I have my own needs. I don't want Rain Shinobi Village to learn this lesson. Kyochi is also calm. Do you want us to help Konoha? Konan asked. No, you promised to be neutral. How can you help us again, but you hope to share with us the information about the land of Earth? Kyochi stated his purpose. Konan breathed a sigh of relief. She was really worried that Kyochi would force it, because what he said, with Yahiko's temperament, might actually agree. But Yahiko nodded and said, That's no problem, I also guessed it. This is the latest information from the land of Earth. As he spoke, he took out the scroll. Kyochi read it carefully, paying attention to a few names. Demolition Team Hunting, Huang Tu, Four Tails Jinchuriki Lao Zi. These people are still in the country of soil, and have not gone to the front line of the country of grass. After reading it, he returned the scroll to Yahiko. At this time, Yahiko asked, You think I can't work with Sand Shinobi, so what else can I do? The northern part of the country of Sichuan and the western part of the country of Rain are the goals you can fight for, and then you can go east to fight for countries such as the country of Grass and the country of Taki. Go west, annex those small countries. Yahiko frowned. But annexation, wouldn't it be a big tree to attract the wind? He was puzzled. It must not be annexed. If you annex them, Sanagakure and Iwagakure will not let it go, and will deal with you as soon as possible. Kyochi said. Both Yahiko and Konan were a little confused. Since it cannot be annexed, the bird country in the west is a small country, and there is not even a ninja village in it. It has no strength at all, and he can't think of other ways except to annex it. Haven't you considered helping them build ninja village? What? Yahiko was stunned. Help them build a ninja village. What good can this do? But at this moment, a flash of light flashed in his mind, and he vaguely grasped something. Konan frowned and said, If you don't help them build a village, the surrounding missions of Rain Shinobi Village can be distributed to some extent. Wouldn't the mission of helping them build a village be completely gone? Task? Yahiko was stunned for a moment, and then finally grasped the flash of inspiration. Yes, task. Originally, these small countries did not have ninja villages, and they could only go to the 3 surrounding countries if they had entrustments. However, if there were ninja villages inside, then some small entrustments would not need to be entrusted to outer villages. But, with the ability of a small country, how can it afford to support 2 strong ninjas? The difficult tasks must be delegated to Waiken. At that time, wouldn't Rain Shinobi Village, which helped them build Ninja Village, be the first choice? Not like now. They don't have Shinobi Village, and most of those missions also flow into Sanagakure and Iwagakure, and have little to do with Rain Shinobi Village. But, can Sanagakure and Iwagakure agree? Of course not, so this period of war is a good opportunity for you to make a move. Kyochi said. Iwagakure was busy fighting, and Sanagakure had just suffered a defeat, so he could only huddle in a corner and lick his wounds. Like Luo Sha. Now there is no telling where to find the gold. I fully understand what you mean. First help them establish a ninja village, and then unite these small ninja villages to form a union with Rain Shinobi Village as the core. Yahiko was so excited that he clapped his hands again and again. That's right. After such a situation is formed, the big villages in the country of grass are likely to take the initiative to join the alliance. The southern part of Kawa no Kuni is compensation for Sanagakure? Konan isn't stupid either. Kyochi only mentioned the northern part of Kawa no Kuni, but did not mention the southern part. Obviously, Rain Shinobi Village cannot get involved in the southern part of Kawa no Koke. So that's the only explanation. More than that, the country of wind is short of water, and the country of rain and the country of rivers need water the most. You can find a way to transfer the water from your country. In addition, our Konoha mission is more in the country of rivers. South. Kyochi said. Yahiko nodded repeatedly. The southern part of the country of Sichuan is relatively rich, and most of the missions of Sand Shinobi and Konoha are in the south. Of course, Rain Shinobi Village can't eat all of them, otherwise, not only Iwagakure, Sanagakure, but also Konoha would have to deal with them. But the current plan is to quietly help the small countries, link them together with the Rain Shinobi Village as the core, and then use this to negotiate peace with the Land of Wind and the Land of Fire. In this way, the only thing they need to face is the Land of Earth. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that Kyochi's plan was very good, at least much better than his simple alliance with Sand Shinobi. After I went back, I felt that I understood what you said, but now I still don't understand it. If it wasn't for your guidance, I might have a big fall in the future. Yahiko couldn't help sighing. Thinking back now, Hanzo's expression at that time was also a little weird. Maybe it was because he felt that his plan was not very reliable. But Hanzo was willing to give him a chance to try. This moved him quite a bit. Certainly. And Kyochi's hints. Conan was pondering, wanted to ask but dared not speak. Conan, if you have any questions, just ask. Anyway, I secretly learned origami, and I owe a big favor. Kyochi couldn't bear it, and made a joke with Conan. Conan at this time. That is so beautiful. Conan let out a bah, and then said complicatedly, aren't you afraid that our Rain Shinobi village will become stronger in the future and endanger Konoha when you point us like this? It's a matter of the future. The current situation is that the four major powers want to attack us, and we can count as one if we can win over one. Kyochi didn't hide it either. Besides, when the ninja world has more power, maybe it can really keep the world in a state of relative peace? The relative peace of a state of equilibrium? As long as there are people, there will be disputes. Complete peace is simply unrealistic, unless there are stronger external factors, such as there are families in the moon that are stronger enough to rule the ninja world. Kyochi seemed to be joking. Yahiko was lost in thought. The chaotic thoughts in his mind gradually cleared up in Kyochi's few words. Land of Earth, Land of Wind, Alliance of Small Nations. The Land of Thunder, the Land of Water, and the Land of Fire. On each side, the three contain and intimidate each other, and it seems that they can indeed form a relatively stable state. He understood Kyochi's vision thoroughly. After Yahiko figured it out, she couldn't help admiring it, and said with emotion, your peace is a truly pragmatic and achievable peace. Unlike before, I was pursuing the illusory absolute peace, which is impossible to achieve. Not necessarily, right or wrong, only to try to know. True knowledge comes from practice. Kyochi smiled. Yahiko thinks so, he thinks Hanzo thinks the same way. If you don't try, ideals will always be ideals. Thank you very much. You don't need to do this. By the way, Conan, I don't know how far your origami has progressed, but I have some ideas on my side, and you may use them as a reference. Kyochi passed the scroll over. This is all the knowledge of Shiki paper dance, and it also records the concept of God's origami technique and other applications. Although it only carried Conan's future skills, but at this stage, Conan certainly has not fully mastered it. Conan opened it and looked at it for a while, a look of joy appeared on his face. Some of these techniques she already has vague ideas, but they are far from as perfect as Kyochi. She is still in the stage of pondering and experimenting with the special paper dance. Kyochi's scroll can save her a lot of detours. She bowed deeply and said nothing. Yahiko, I can't teach you too much for now, but if you know sword skills, you might as well try to inject water-style chakra into the sword. In short, even if you are busy with business, don't forget to improve your strength. Kyochi said solemnly, only when the strength is reached, can Onoki and Rasa recognize your alliance of small countries. Hanzo alone is not enough. Yes, I understand. Yahiko bowed deeply, with an extremely respectful attitude. Although they are actually older than Kyochi, in terms of attitude, they treat him as another teacher completely. Kyochi waved his hand, and then disappeared. The advantage of Shadow Clone coming is that there is no need to hurry back. Although Mr. Kyochi did it for Konoha, his great kindness to us is comparable to that of Mr. Jiraiya's reinvention. We must not use what he taught against Konoha in the future. Let's go. Yahiko whispered. Conan nodded aside, and then looked at the scroll in his hand with complicated emotions. I have studied it for so many years, but I don't understand the technique very well, but in the hands of Kyochi, it is easy to form a system. Although there are many techniques in the creative stage, these are the most difficult to think of. This hit her hard. But at the same time, she was very excited. With this scroll, her strength can quickly catch up with Nagato and Yahiko, and she will no longer be a hindrance. Thanks. She whispered to the east, and quickly followed Yahiko's pace. The junction of the country of grass and the country of fire. Kyochi heard the system beep, and a bunch of memories flooded his mind. Shadow clone job done. He took the first look at the eye panel. Complete the Small Nations Alliance guideline. Evaluation. Excellent. Reward. Sword Art Flash. From Kyochi's point of view, what he said was just a superficial understanding of the transformation he had seen in his previous life. But for Yahiko and the others, it is indeed a rare solution. If he could be more specific, maybe the evaluation would be higher, but unfortunately he didn't study this stuff in his previous life. There are two more. He continued to look down. Yahiko regards you as a life mentor? Conan sees you as. Yahiko's reward is the analysis of Yuhu Zizai technique. Conan is God's origami technique. To be frank, Yahiko's reward would trigger, he vaguely guessed, but Conan would recognize it too, something he hadn't quite expected. But if you think about it carefully, you can understand it. The most important thing about Conan is the two, Yahiko and Nagato. I helped Yahiko and the others, and gave her the ninjutsu scroll so that she could improve her own strength, and she would indeed be very grateful and agree with herself. Pity. Kyochi can't teach the important water-style ninjutsu, and Yahiko, who is not good enough, can do it himself, so I have to give some pointers. Hopefully these three guys hold up, Kyochi thought. As of right now, he doesn't want to face the Madara guy. And if the alliance of small countries is successful, it will indeed stabilize the situation in the ninja world and reverse Konoha's situation. I am afraid that the Dragon Slayer will become a dragon. However, it is still safe for now. As for the future, he believes that his own strength will definitely not be limited to the current level. Thinking of this, Kyochi put aside those distracting thoughts and focused on checking his clone's memory. Information from the Land of Earth. In the information prepared by Yahiko, the current situation of the Land of Earth is clear, as well as the distribution of some troops. This should be information from Rain Shinobi Anbu. Hanzo really thinks highly of Yahiko. Think about it too. If you don't pay attention to it, how dare you let Yahiko do it when you know that there are some problems in the plan? Hanzo was confident that he could cover the bottom line, and let Yahiko fall first. This is cultivating him as an heir. After pondering for a moment, Kyochi restrained his thoughts and had a goal. Dive into the Land of Earth first. What to do next, just collect information and think about it. Anyway, have the power to make their own decisions. As long as you avoid a few key points, there is not much risk. Shao, go to sleep, I'll be on duty at night. This is. After getting a few spells, I still have to study and study, how can I have the mood to sleep? Flash. Yuhu Zizai technique and God's origami. The third value is the highest, but it is also the simplest, because the application method is just like that, and there is no need to invest any energy at all, and it can be used immediately. A flash is fine too. Only this Yuhu Zizai technique. This thing is a principle analysis, and it is really useless to reproduce and learn it. After all, not every place is like the rain country where it rains all the year round. Kyochi understood. Its most precious place is the use of chakra and perception. If I use the mist shinobi technique now, it should save me a lot of chakra. If I start with perception and anti-perception, I may be able to integrate more effects. One night of research, Kyochi was rewarded. Rain Tiger Freedom technique can infiltrate chakra into rainwater. After years of research, Nagato figured out a way to reduce the consumption of chakra. Otherwise his chakra would not be able to withstand the amount of the entire Rain Shinobi village. And it is precisely this skill that he values. Perception also has research value. But now in the battlefield, this kind of research can't be too in-depth, so we can only put it aside for the time being, and pick it up when we have time later. As for the origami of God, with a movement of Kyochi's finger, the detonating charms on his body flew out and gathered, turning into a shrunken version of Kyochi. Just looking at the appearance, there is basically no difference. It's also a good thing. Cooperating with the paper clone technique, there are unexpected effects. It's a pity that detonators are too expensive. Otherwise, wouldn't it be invincible to form detonating talisman paper clones one by one? At this time, it was still dark. Kyochi looked at it and clapped his hands. Get up, it's time to go. Yes. When everyone heard the order, they quickly woke up and got up. After tidying up, Kyochi led them north. No one asked about the destination, just follow orders. Until entering the territory of the Land of Earth, Tsukiko Kazuki understood his position. Land of Earth. Infiltrate combat. He clenched the handle of the knife tightly, his eyes carefully fixed around. Kyochi looked at little Hyuga Mukai. Shang Jingshin understood. He rolled his eyes, looked around, and shook his head. Walk. Whoosh. A group of people rushed across the border in an instant. But in a short while, they went deep all the way, far away from the border area. It's too dangerous over there. Generally speaking, at this time of war, there will be a small team patrolling and investigating the border, but what makes Yu Guang Yimu unbelievable is that they did not encounter the enemy when they sneaked in this time. He doesn't quite understand. But, looking at the sky, he suddenly became thoughtful. It seems, Lord Kyochi has information he doesn't know. Break through the defense line, we will relax a little bit, and now we will assign work. Kyochi probes the ground with his finger, and Chakra Sense is always watching the surroundings. Afterwards, he looked at Kazuki Moonlight. Shao, you lead the team to the east, and stop when you see a road. This is where their logistics troops pass by. You are responsible for destroying their logistics supply team, and the ninja supplies are sealed. Take the scroll and don't leave it to Iwagakure. Yes. You don't need to disguise when you sneak attack, just let the other party know that it is Anbu. Pay attention, only sneak attack the logistics ninja unit. You can ask Mukai if you want to do it. Kyochi explained. Although Moonlight Kazuki was puzzled, he nodded. He looked at Mukai and Shiranui Nobusada. He knew the sealing technique of Nobuden, but Mukai was good at perception, which he really didn't know much about. But he didn't think much of it either. After accepting the order, he was about to take people away, but after hesitating for a moment, he asked, My lord, how many times shall we rob? If it can be completely wiped out the first time, it will be done twice. If it cannot be completely wiped out, it will be gone once. Yes, there is no problem with Moonlight Kazuki. He knew that Kyochi must have obtained information, and the source of the information could more or less guess some. Rain Shinobi Village. Did not expect. Kyochi-sama is even related to Rain Shinobi Village, so he can obtain such detailed information. He sighed for a while, and then ran eastward. Kyochi and the others were left without a single word, waiting for the next order. This is what Kyochi loves about them. Obedient. Don't ask. Never ask too much. If you switch to Obito or Naruto, you may have already jumped out and bluffed. Let you practice the transformation technique, it will come in handy today. After Kyochi finished speaking, he simply made a seal, and then changed into a rock shinobi outfit. Slightly different from Konoha. Their ninja vests only have one sleeve, and their dressing style is also very different from Konoha. Yuhihong took the lead in completing the transformation. There is no flaw. The other two also quickly transformed. Most are fine, only a few details need tweaking. Teacher, are we going to dive into the battle? Asuma asked in a low voice. The purpose of sneaking in is not to fight, but to find important enemy ninjas. Kyochi simply explained. The three understood immediately. Find the other key person. Behead. This is one of Anbu's special operations plans popularized by Anbu and them within 10 days. From now on, we are all rock shinobi. My name is Magic Leech. You can name it whatever you want. Yes. They quickly came up with a name. Kyochi nodded and didn't pay much attention to it. Generally speaking, when teams meet, the other party will only ask Jonin's name, and he is indeed disguised as a leech. Certainly. Li Gui was afraid of meeting Li Kui. But if you really meet, just kill it. Kyochi wasn't too worried. He led people to sneak in, and went to the location where there were more ninjas gathered in the intelligence. Asuma and the others are more nervous. The speed of the three of them did not slow down, but their breathing was not smooth. Kyochi immediately reminded them, so as not to turn around and show their flaws. Young people have never seen the world like this. Kyochi wasn't nervous at all. At this time, the sky was already dawning. Rock Shinobi starts to switch, and Kyochi has already felt a wave of chakra. Teacher. Shi Hahong came up to remind. I know, don't panic. Kyochi is calm. Be found? Just kill it. For an ordinary team, he is confident that it will be wiped out in a short time. Killing everything is the most perfect stealth. He went forward. Master Huoguang, when are we going to attack the country of grass? Wait for the news, I don't know. Huoguang shook his head. He also hopes to attack immediately. According to intelligence, Cloud Shinobi Village in the east has crossed the border and started to attack the Nation of Fire, directly fighting against Konoha. So, now on Iwagakure's side, many people hope to really attack Kawen Village, instead of confronting Konoha and consuming it like they are now. This kind of tug of war is what Konoha wants to see the most, because Konoha's medical ability is too strong. However, Huo Guang understood that the higher-ups must have their considerations. He concentrated and stopped thinking about these things. Let's go, patrol first. I heard that Konoha and Kirigakure are no longer fighting. Konoha may increase our troops here. HMPH, there are 7 people who are still holding back swords, a bunch of trash, even Konoha can't handle it. Huoguang couldn't complain. He only thought that the 7 people failed to deal with Konoha's people, but he didn't know that the 7 people were defeated miserably, and now they have been robbed of several knives. But that doesn't stop him from despising Kirigakure. chatting. In the woods ahead, 4 figures jumped out. It was not yet dawn, so he couldn't see it clearly, but judging from his attire, it should be a magic leech. Demon leech. Why are you here? I intercepted a piece of information, and I want to go back and send it. Your voice? Not good. Huo Guang heard the sound and immediately realized something was wrong. The sound was not a leech. However, the next moment, he saw a saber light shining, and 3 figures jumped out. Whoosh. The wind. He recognized that this was Konoha's swordsmanship. Dance of the Crescent Moon. The blades popped out instantly from the cuffs of the fire, and one cut forward, while the other blocked it upwards. When, crisp sound. Top. Just as he was happy, he realized that there were crisp sounds coming from the front, and one of them was still making mudras with both hands. The other 3 rock shinobi immediately help. A stone wall rises, blocking the 3 people in front of them. However, the next moment, the surrounding fog rose, and under the morning sun, they saw the figure of the enemy appearing above them. Be careful. One of them strengthened his own defense with a hardening technique, and then attacked the magic leech above. But it's a cloud of air. It's an illusion. Hey. There was a strange sound of the throat being cut. The firelight is not good. The opponent's strength is very strong, the speed is astonishingly fast, and this illusion must rely on the fog, so it is very disadvantageous for them to fight here. We have to withdraw. He fled in the direction he came and went. However, after taking a step, he stood upside down covered in hairs, and immediately raised his hand to block forward with the sleeve blade. Boom. Terrifying force, with chakra airflow and condensed wind-style chakra. How can he stop it? The sleeve blade was blown away and stuck in his thigh. The next moment, he saw a knife cutting out from the mist. He had heard of the knife. Beheading sword. He was terrified. The opponent's speed was too fast. There was no time to use ninjutsu, so he had to use the hardening technique in the sleeve blade of the other hand to block it. However, the next moment, the extremely terrifying force came from the knife again, and the swing of the big knife was invincible and unstoppable. Boom. His sleeve blade was blown away. Not so lucky this time, the blade pinched just below his neck. Afterwards, the sword did not lose its strength, and directly beheaded it. Blood sprayed, the knife's gap slowly healed, and even the broken part was recovering. And the other side. Shisui and the others completed the siege, and Iwagakure's Chunin couldn't block for too long with the cooperation of Mist Shinobi. Become their appearance and deal with the scene. Kyochi drank the blood one by one with the beheading sword, while handling the scene and sweeping up the loot. He looked at the blade of the Thunder Spirit in his hand, feeling a little terrified. What the hell? He almost used the blade of the Thunder Spirit to fight head-on with the opponent's sleeve blade. Fortunately, he suddenly realized that such a sleeve blade is very sharp, so he withdrew his strength, otherwise the Thunder God's sword might break. He walked over and picked up the 2 swords. The material is good, sharp and tough. Although it is not a chakra knife, it is quite good. After all, according to the original trajectory, Kakashi's white fang knife was folded in its hand. Because of this, it was useless for him to hold back. Blade of the Thunder Spirit fought hard. This is the only knife he has against Earth style. What if something goes wrong? Fortunately, there is a beheading knife. This thing is the least afraid of Huo. Anyway, the gap of the knife can also absorb blood to replenish, and the weight of the knife combined with the strange power technique is simply amazing, and few people who use the sword can block it. Firelight is no exception. Put these 2 knives here first, and I'll give them to you later. Thank you, teacher. Shisui didn't refuse. He knew that the teacher was very wealthy now. Besides the lei Daoyu temporarily lent to him, he also had a full 4 ninja swords, which were no different from these 2 ordinary blades. At this moment, Kyochi could see the other person's face clearly. This face. Firelight? It seems to be the name. No wonder he recognized the leeches. Kyochi coughed lightly, then mimicked his voice. How about it? An octagon, Asuma said. That's enough, Hong, you don't need to talk later. Yes. There are no female ninjas here, she has transformed into a male ninja's appearance, but her voice is easy to give away. But this time Kyochi also imitated the voice, which greatly reduces the possibility of being seen through. So, don't worry too much. After going through this battle, Asuma's tension disappeared. Jonin squad. It doesn't seem that difficult. But he also floated for a while. Kyochi kills 3, and the 3 of them kill 1. If there are more enemies, they will be in danger, and it is unrealistic to sneak into combat and expect the opponent to fight you every time. Not to mention, this time they also played a surprise, so that the other party misunderstood that Kyochi is the dance of the crescent moon, but they actually turned into Kyochi's clone. In this way, the opponent can be eliminated in a short time. Certainly. They also use their full strength. In this way, it is more than enough to deal with 1 or 2 teams. Everyone has a rough bottom line. Master Huoguang, where are we going now? He got into it quickly. This way. Kyoshi confirmed that all traces of the battlefield had disappeared, and then led the team forward. As usual, Huoguang is going to patrol the front this time, but Kyoshi is not really here to work for Iwagakure. His target is Iwagakure's important people. FL8. Hunting. This guy masters explosion style and is a member of Iwagakure's elite demolition team. Once he brings people to the battlefield of the Kingdom of Grass, Konoha's defense will be difficult, and the Kingdom of Grass is likely to be directly broken through, turning the battlefield from the border of the Kingdom of Grass to the border of the Kingdom of Fire. According to intelligence, the blasting team is over there. By perception, he scouted far ahead, and there were 2 patrol teams rushing towards the direction he told Kazuki and them to attack. Kyoshi guessed that the front may have received the news that the logistics force was attacked. We're going to speed up, Kyoshi said hastily. He had to hurry up and go there later, maybe the information ahead would be delivered. Yes. A group of people speed up. They are not weak in body flicker technique, as long as they are willing to give up chakra, their speed will increase quickly. Not for a while. Kyoshi perceives the location of the temporary camp, collected by Yahiko and the others. This is a valley with rocks on both sides, which is very convenient for the rock shinobi ninja to escape or ambush to attack. He used his senses to check for a long time, but he couldn't confirm whether there were ambushes in the rocks on both sides. No way. I can only take risks, try it first, the big deal. Come to a big river of dirt, just leave after a wave of AoE. Hidden decapitation is not a high-risk operation that is guaranteed to be successful. What's more, they already have a guarantee. Kazuki and the others should have succeeded, otherwise Iwagakure's patrol team would not rush there. Walk. Kyoshi ran forward. The rock shinobi ninjas quickly spotted them, and the distribution of ninjas in the camp changed slightly. Obviously. They are still on guard. Huoguang, why are you back? The current ninja hairstyle is very unique. Although it is not as attractive as Haruno Sakura's father, it is also the type of identity that can be recognized at a glance. Hunting. Captain of the demolition team. Kyoshi didn't panic, walked a few steps and said loudly, "My lord, we encountered a group of Konoha Anbu ninjas, so I suspect that Konoha may have increased troops, so come to report." Konoha Anbu ninja. Hunting was startled. This is the territory of the Land of Earth, and Konoha's Anbu has infiltrated here. He was anxious, but out of caution, he asked, "Where did you encounter the enemy?" 3 kilometers ahead. I suspect that the other party is lurking from the border between the Land of Grass and the Land of Rain. There seems to be a loophole in our patrols in that area. Kyoshi mixed truth and falsehood without the slightest panic. Seeing that the teacher is as stable as a mountain, Shisui and the others in the back are not in a hurry. Come on. Carry lowered his vigilance, but Kyoshi's intelligence still surprised him quite a bit. Patrol loopholes. If there is a loophole, it can only be that something happened when the patrol task was handed over, otherwise there would be no gap for the other party to sneak in. Kyoshi leans over. After getting quite a bit closer, he sensed a faint chakra breath in the rock. Roughly judged, there are at least 7 or 8 teams. Obviously. There are many rock shinobi ambushing here, and their strength is not weak. Of course, he doesn't care if they really fight, but Asuma and the others are not sure. Afterwards, Kyoshi calmed down. I arrived first, as long as I didn't get caught, then I just had to wait. Wait for the information from the front to arrive. After approaching, Carrie continued to ask. Tell me about the situation in detail, what's going on? Yes. Kyoshi lowered his head, and then said, we were going to switch defenses, but we sensed the opponent's ambush. Although I counterattacked and injured the opponent, Konoha actually mastered the mist shinobi technique. What? Hunt was stunned for a moment. Mist shinobi technique. Isn't that Kiragakure's housekeeping ninjutsu? How did Konoha's ninja learn it? Huoguang, did you read it wrong? How could Konoha's people know mist shinobi technique? A rock shinobi questioned it. He is the real Li Kui. Magic leech. You can't read it wrong, it is indeed the mist shinobi technique, and the opponent's sword technique should be Dance of the Three Suns and Moon. Kyoshi continued. He was telling the truth, because in the battle, they did use the mist shinobi technique, the Dance of the Crescent Moon, but changed the result slightly. The Dance of the Three Suns, it should be Konoha's Moonlight Clan, they are good at this kind of swordsmanship, and now they have learned the mist shinobi technique. Big trouble, mist shinobi are useless. The hunting mentality collapsed. He paced back and forth, and then said, the ninja support from Konoha East Front has arrived, the front line is not very good, Moli, you bring someone. He was planning to let the magic leech take someone to deliver the information. As a result, the next moment, the ninja hiding in the rock shinobi technique appeared next to him and said, "Master Carry, I have sensed the ninja team on patrol ahead." What? Carry was surprised for a while, and then immediately looked forward. Really? After a while, a chunin ran to this side. Kyoshi remained calm, took everyone back a little, and Carry stepped forward. "Master Carry, it's bad. Our transportation unit was robbed. The opponent used mist shinobi to cover it up. We failed to catch up, and all the ninja tools, detonating charms and military food pills were taken away. Damn. Konoha has more than one team." Carry was furious, he believed it thoroughly, there was indeed Konoha's Anbu team sneaking into the land of Earth, and there was more than one. The most important is, these teams may all have mastered the mist shinobi technique. He cursed from the bottom of his heart. Kirigakir's bastards, although they didn't expect them to pose any real threat to Konoha, they still held back part of the troops anyway. The results of it? I didn't see the people from Uchiha. All the others came here, and I learned a little more mist shinobi technique. Waste. He took a deep breath and said, "Magic Leech, Dashi, Huoguang, you lead the team to the front line, send the information there, and monitor the surroundings by the way to prevent Konoha Anbu from infiltrating." "Yes." "Wen Ya, you lead the team to the camp and inform them of the situation here." "Yes." Kyoshi was helpless. There are always surprises. Of course he wanted to stay so that he would have a chance to get close to Carry, or if Carry could lead a team to support him, he also had a chance, but the other party didn't choose any of them and sent him out instead. "Fortunately, I didn't say anything important. Mist shinobi surgery these. When the front logistics team is intercepted, it is destined to be exposed, not important information. As for the increase of troops ahead, Konoha's large army is advancing, and there is no way to hide it." He followed the leech and the others to the front line for support. All good things take time. At least this trip has confirmed the location of the hunting, and there is still a chance to kill the two teams, the results are already quite good. He followed. After running for a while, Kyoshi suddenly felt a sense of crisis when he was approaching the front. The next moment, his skin quickly turned black, and his hands formed seals at the same time. A mud flow wall rose, separating the rear team. The ninja knife of the magic leech slashed at Kyoshi's body, and it didn't move at all, making it difficult to penetrate further. He backed away immediately. There was a roar from behind. His earth wall was shattered by the opponent's ninjutsu, and Shisui and the others had earth thorns protruding from under their feet, but the three of them had avoided it and retreated to a safer place. Kyoshi sighs. Was found. These two are too familiar with the fire team, and their team may be a small detail on someone's road that has revealed a flaw. He and Shisui jumped out of the battle group and formed a confrontation with each other. "You said you didn't find out. Maybe you died a little later. You belong to Konoha, right? Let me tell you that there is something wrong with those three chunins. It seems that Huoguang and the others are dead." The magic leech held the knife with an ugly expression on his face. "Lord Demon Leech, release the flare." Yes. Kyoshi has to admit that Rock Shinobi's quality is indeed very high. The leech and Oishi didn't expose him immediately when they found out that he was wrong, but wanted to sneak attack them. If it weren't for his fast speed, Shisui and the others might have been hit hard by the sneak attack. But how could it be possible for you to set off a signal flare? Kyoshi's eyes froze. Next moment, the aura on his body changed instantly, and with a flick of his finger, countless pieces of paper flew out, turning into a paper shield covering the sky. As soon as the signal flare was released, it was blocked by the paper shield. Then, amid the splendid flares, a few pieces of paper flew out and approached the leeches. "Be careful." Boom. A violent explosion sounded. Detonator. But detonators are blocked by Earth style. At this time, the team led by Dashi went to Shisui and the others. Kyoshi glanced at it, but didn't immediately help. He was not a babysitter, and they had to learn to deal with the situation. As for the leeches and the others, Kyoshi sneered, his hands formed seals, and the surrounding area quickly turned into a swamp, and then, the frost spread along his feet, freezing the swamp into frozen ground in less than a second. After the explosion, the protection formed by Earth style collapsed. The leeches fell into the swamp. What's more, the swamp was frozen by frost. This kind of soil made it more time-consuming for them to escape with Earth style. And, what? There was a scream. Among the four of them, one let out a scream. The ice spikes from the ground pierced his body. He is the only ninja in the team who has not mastered the hardening technique. The leech was in a hurry. Although they have hardening skills, they can barely block the ice thorns in the soil, but they must undo this frozen state, otherwise they will be fish on the knife. He speeds up chakra output. However, at this moment, the sword arrived. A knife carried lightning, which directly broke the effect of his hardening technique, and a sword pierced his neck. As for the other two, they were already covered in frost, and they were struggling hard at this moment, but 2/3 of their bodies were frozen in the soil, and they couldn't exert their strength at all. The other side. Asuma and the others were facing a team led by Jonin. They are stressed. So, in the first moment, Asuma took a deep breath and activated the breathing activation technique. Next moment, Shisui just finished speaking, no need to greet, a fireball spewed out, and Asuma spit out great breakthrough. Flames covered the front. In a split second, they took chakra and changed positions instantly. The next moment, the ground under their feet roared, and the whole ground exploded. 3 rock shinobi emerged from the ground. If they hadn't been running fast, they might have been covered in rock and soil. They have learned a lot during this time, one of which is not to underestimate the IQ of the enemy. Great fireball and the like can't kill most of the time, because it moves too much. But this time, the purpose of the 3 of them is not to hurt people, but to force rock shinobi to use earth-style technique. Next moment, Shisui stepped in front of them in an instant, his eyes were blood red and goblins twirled. Illusion. Asuma held the fist blade in both hands, and instantly killed the 3 of them, of course. They didn't forget that there was another person here. Dashi. This Jonin. Where is he now? Kurenai Yuhi focused her attention and observed her surroundings. Her perception and observation had been raised to the limit, but she couldn't find the other party at all. However, the next moment, Shisui suddenly threw a string of shurikens. A faint breath was revealed. Shi Hahong stood upside down with hairs all over her body, because this person was already very close to her, almost beside her. But, before just now, she didn't notice at all. She didn't have time to think about it, because the other party's kunai had already stabbed him. High speed. It was almost too late for her to swing her fists or fight back with her feet, so she had to escape with the body replacement technique. Jonin's ability far exceeded her expectations, and her original plan of using strange power to kill fell through. Shisui also had cold sweat on his forehead. If he hadn't opened the Sharingan and accidentally noticed that there was a slight difference between that side and the surrounding area, he would have never been able to spot the other party. When he gets closer, Yuhihong will be in danger. At the moment when they were distracted to deal with Dashi, the 3 Chunin dispelled the illusion and avoided the vital point in time. Under the effect of hardening, they were not seriously injured by Asuma's Feiyon. For them, it is also a shame to be tricked by 3 little kids. However, at this time, they also noticed the situation of the other team. All dead. How could it be so fast? Dashi's heart also sank, and when he turned his head, he saw the snow and ice all over the ground, and his heart trembled even more. Ice escape. Kirigakure even learned this stuff. Really Nima iron waste, he cursed inwardly. But at this time, scolding Kirigakure waste material is obviously not very useful, the key is to run away. He wanted to retreat, and at the same time regretted it. I should have known. Go back and ask for reinforcements, it's over, and I'm thinking about a sneak attack with the magic leech. He used camouflage to disappear and fled to the camp. Teacher. He can't run. Kyochi made a mudra with one hand, and the surrounding area was filled with fog. Camouflage can deceive vision and hide aura, but it cannot avoid the thick fog. In the fog, his position cannot be hidden. Dashi also understood this. He immediately changed his ninjutsu to Earth Dragon Hidden Technique, but just ran out not long ago. Boom. There was a roar. Kyochi's fist punched a big hole in front of him. Dashi temporarily stopped for a step. Otherwise, just one punch could kill him. But before he could rejoice, Kyochi drew his sword with his left hand. Dashi seals, uses Earth Shore Return to block part of the power, and then shrinks back to the place where it came back. Kyochi sighs. So he didn't want to come to Land of Earth. This group of rock shinobi can hide too much, and they are very professional in defense, not as easy to kill as mist shinobi ninjas. Certainly. Mainly because he doesn't know lightning style. Trouble. Kyochi was too lazy to play hide and seek with him, and used Earth-style chakra to help maintain the channel, and the 2 detonators turned into birds and flew in. Dashi's face was full of horror. The passage formed by the original Dragon Hidden Technique will be covered by softened sand and stones after he withdraws, but Kyochi uses ninjutsu to maintain the passage. 2 detonating symbols flew towards him from the opening there. The hole was too narrow for him to escape at all. After the detonating talisman approached, the earth and rocks buried it, followed by boom. With a loud bang, the soil was directly blown over. Oishi's body was buried under the broken sand. He was still alive and seemed to be planning to use ninjutsu to escape, but the next moment, Kyochi rushed over and stepped on it. It hurts. The huge force caused the land to sag directly. The boulder in the center was pierced by force through his chest, and his heart was directly shattered. Kyoshi is still not at ease. He took out the beheading knife and gave him a blow. Now rest assured. He carried the knife and rushed towards Asuma and the others. There is no need to worry, because Tsukiko Kazuki and the others have arrived, otherwise Kyoshi would not rush to deal with Oishi first, and must leave Shadow Clone to ensure the safety of the three. When he arrived, the three Chunins had been dealt with by Tsukiko Kazuki and Shisui. Shisui was exhausted. Although there are only 3 Chunins, Iwagakure's Chunins are indeed strong, with various means of life-saving and escape. It is easy to defeat, but extremely difficult to kill. He took a few breaths and felt slightly sleepy when Kyoshi came back. Chakra consumes too much. Shisui, take Bingliang pills first to recover a little stamina. Shisui nodded, and took Bingliangwen from Yuhihong. Kyoshi came back and killed the 2 frozen Chunin with a beheading sword. He looked at Shisui, and he couldn't use fire style in this state. Fortunately, Asuma and Sarutobi Hiroki could both use fire style. 2. Deal with this side. The opponent's support may be coming soon, hurry up. Yes. Everyone was very surprised, because this was obviously Ice Dun, the blood successor limit of the Snow Clan belonging to the Kingdom of Water. How did Kyoshi learn it? But there's no time to surprise them, now it's time to deal with the scene. Little Hyuga Mukai rolled his eyes, checked the surrounding situation, and quickly reported, "My lord, the enemy's support troops are here. There are 3 teams, shall we fight?" Withdraw. Kyoshi looked at the situation here. Shisui chakra is depleted, and Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi are not much better. Yuguang Kazuki and the others looked much better, but after several battles, it is certain that chakra is not enough, and if they continue to fight, they may be surrounded. He doesn't want to play center bloom tactics. Moreover, as far as their condition and the position of Konoha's main force are concerned, the center will not be able to bloom. The work of destroying corpses and traces here is almost done, so they evacuate quickly. Long after they withdrew, hunting came with people. It took a while to deal with the fog, otherwise he would have arrived sooner. However, seeing the situation at the scene, he was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. Although I don't know the specific situation, but looking at the corpse at the scene, I can understand what's going on. The Firelight team is so fake. Iwahira, is there still alive? My lord, they are all dead. The scene has been destroyed, I don't quite understand it. Iwahira replied. Carrie took a deep breath and came to the first battlefield. There is a piece of scorched earth here, and most of the traces of the battle were destroyed by the flames. He could only observe 1 or 2 from the remaining traces. He looked at it for a long time and understood a little bit. Magic Leech and Dashi should have discovered the other party's disguise and wanted to work together to eliminate this team, but they were defeated. Or they were supported by the other party until the teammate arrived. The second half of the sentence was added by hunting. He saw that the leeches were killed by 1 person first. The cause of death was not apparent from the scene. But certainly not fire style. 2-on-1 was counter-killed by the first team. But, judging from the traces at the scene, he had to admit that the opponent was very strong. Kari-sama, Oishi Jonin seems to have died from Tsunade's terrible power. Could it be Tsunade? Absolutely not. Moreover, the opponent should only have 2 teams. Kari shook his head. If there were 3 teams, he doubted that the other party would dare to stay and lay an ambush. Only 2 teams dare to go deep into the hinterland and attack their ninjas continuously. What a bold man. He recalled the information about Konoha, thought for a long time, his face was weird. Captain Anbu of Tsunade and Konoha leads the team himself? Wrong. Definitely not Tsunade. It seems that something happened in the east that we don't know. We must find out. In addition, send people out to look for Huoguang. Even if it is a corpse, we must find them. Hunt said with a headache. Mist shinobi technique was stolen. How badly was Kirigakure beaten? This person Kirigakure sure knows. You must get information about the eastern battlefield from Kirigakure, otherwise you will be too passive in the face of Konoha. On the way back, everyone was silent. There is exhaustion, but also shock. Ice escape. This is Kirigakure's blood succession limit, and Kyoshi even developed this technique. It's amazing. They rushed all the way. Kyoshi glanced at Shisui, then at little Hyuga Mukai. Mukai understands. He opened his eyes and looked around. No one for now. Kyoshi walked over to Shisui's side in an instant, and then put his hand on Shisui's forehead. The next moment, chakra slowly flowed out from the palm, merged into Shisui's body, and then differentiated into physical energy and spiritual energy. A minute or 2 passed. Kyoshi stopped, took a Bingliang pill and said, "Let's go." This, Shisui was shocked. His mental energy has recovered some. Although not too much, at least it won't be drowsy and drag everyone down. Everyone set off again. They didn't return the same way, but got out along the gap created by their murder and returned to the country of grass. Iwagakure would like to come out and search for others. But Konoha took the initiative to attack, and they were powerless to search. In just 10 minutes, Kyochi and the others managed to escape from the land of earth and return to the land of grass, far away from the rock shinobi army. It was considered safe. At this time, Kurenai Yuhi asked, "Teacher, what kind of medical ninjutsu did you just do? Why haven't I seen it before?" "This is not medical ninjutsu. I reversed the chakra absorption technique, transported my own chakra, and then decomposed it into physical energy and spiritual energy," Kyochi explained. The current conversion rate of this technique is extremely low. Only 10% of the chakra he sent is converted into energy, which is an unfinished ninjutsu. "Master Kyochi, the previous. We just pretend we didn't see it." Moonlight asked in a low voice. "Didn't see anything? It's just an unexpected result of my research on wood style. It's not perfect yet and needs further improvement." Kyochi shook his head. Since he took it out to use it, he had already prepared for it, so he didn't need Yugwang Yimu to cover himself. It was little Hyuga Mukai. He smiled and said, "Everyone performed very well in this battle, so you don't need to report more about your own people. Master Tsunade and I both know about it." "Yes." Moonlight Kazuki and the others stood upright. Asuma and the others are of course even more so. Certainly. Asuma didn't expect little Hyuga Mukai's side. He thought Kyochi was referring to Shisui's Sharingan. But Moonlight is not him. Tsukiko Kazuki has been Anbu for many years. How can he not guess the situation of little Hyuga Mukai? Roll your eyes. A foreigner who has been separated from the 4th generation for 3 years has awakened the white eyes again. If this is reported, Hyuga is going to go crazy. Before changing, Yugwang Kazuki might hesitate. If this kind of thing is known, the consequences will be difficult to say. But immediately Tsunade is the 4th generation, and Kyochi and Tsunade are also very kind to the Moonlight clan, so if they can help, they will definitely help. As for the other two, Shiranui Shinso naturally agreed, and little Hyuga Mukai helped a lot, and even rescued him. There is no reason not to help his life and death comrades. Sarutobi Hiroki was born in the Sarutobi clan, so he was a little hesitant. "Don't worry, I will explain to Lord 3rd generation and the Hyuga clan later that the concealment is only temporary." "Yes." Sarutobi Hiroki bowed his head. Asuma's face was weird. He always thought that the teacher was talking about Shisui, but after watching it for a long time, it seemed that it was not about Shisui's Sharingan, but about the Anbu ninja wearing a cat mask. Iwagakure is just hard to deal with. There are too many life-saving methods, and the difficulty of killing rises sharply. Unlike Kirigakure, one kills one death. Kyochi rubbed his temples. Moonlight Kazuki nodded in agreement, and then told what happened to them. They only killed one team. As Kyochi said, rock shinobi is too difficult to deal with, and there are a lot of defensive methods. The first wave of assassinations failed to kill them all, and the opponent released a signal flare. If it wasn't for the first wave of raids, Sarutobi Hiroki caught the opponent by surprise with an earthen spear, and he might have entangled with that team for a longer time. In the end, they only killed one team, and immediately ran away with supplies. Kyochi wasn't to blame, because he himself was full of surprises. After finally sneaking in, it turned out that the enemies on Carrie's side were far beyond imagination, and he himself had no plan to come out to support, and later they were sent to deal with Tsukiko Kazuki. They planned to ambush and kill them together, but the disguise was seen through on the way. Can only say, it can be seen from Jonin's quality that Iwagakure's strength is indeed higher than that of Mist Shinobi. Fortunately, this time the results are also quite fruitful. 4 Jonin teams, and the lowest in the team is Chunin. This is definitely an elite team level in Iwagakure. And on their side, one is not damaged. This result has been excellent. After all, it is a guerrilla in itself. Rather than aiming at the leader of the other party, it is good to make some money. Go back and rest. Teacher, are you sure such a short time is enough? Enough for them to run. 3rd generation nodded. He didn't know what happened there, but Kyochi and the others must have done it. Jiraiya is still worried. That is the country of Earth. Rock shinobi is not a vegetarian, it is dangerous once surrounded. In case something goes wrong, Tsunade must not kill himself. He walked up and down, restless. While hesitating, there was a commotion outside. He ran out immediately, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. Came back. All back. It's good to be back, it's good to be back. Smelly brat, do you think you are so powerful? What if you meet Onoki or Jinchuriki? Jiraiya took a few steps to Kyochi's side, and patted Kyochi's shoulder hard twice. Kyochi coughed lightly and said, Jiraiya, I didn't fold it in Rock Shinobi's hands, I'm afraid I'm going to fold it in yours. Nonsense. Jiraiya rolled her eyes. Seeing him come back, he felt relieved, and then asked about the results of the battle. Moonlight and Ichiki retreated to find Sarutobi Shinosuke, only Kyochi and Asuma were left. Kyochi sent them to rest, and then went to chat with them about the results of the battle. Jiraiya breathed in after listening. Good guy. This is dancing on the tip of a knife, and if you are caught, you will be besieged by a bunch of rock shinobi. Thanks to this kid who figured it out. What a bold man. His heart was pounding, but then he felt something was wrong. Kyochi's intelligence is a bit clear. As soon as you drill through, you will immediately find the opponent's loophole, and you will simply rush to it. Jiraiya saw the fire clearly in his heart, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he nodded calmly and said in cooperation, they have a lot of arrangements on the front line, and there really isn't much patrolling there. That hunter was a little cautious. I originally planned to transfer the people around him and try to kill him. I didn't expect him to send me out, so I had to eat 2 teams and come back. Kyochi sighs. Kill 2 teams with tears. This is the truth. If Shu gave him a chance, he wouldn't just take down these 2. After hearing this, Third Generation said, your achievements this time are not small. 4 elite teams are enough to reduce the death of ninjas on our side a lot. The teacher is right. Jiraiya nodded in agreement. 7 or 8 teams. Even if he dared not provoke such a stronghold for nothing, it was not easy for Kyochi to dare to go there and get out of the way. Rock Shinobi is much more difficult to deal with than Mist Shinobi. Mist Shinobi's biggest defense methods are Mist Shinobi, Mist Instant Body and Water Barrier. Although it is difficult to deal with, it is not a worry, but Rock Shinobi. There is one thing to say. Kyochi felt the feeling of the Mist ninjas facing him. The iron shell can't be moved. Fortunately, I have Thor's sword and beheading sword, no matter what earth style you are, if you hit it with a knife, you will die. Third Generation also had a headache after hearing it. Rock Shinobi is indeed difficult to deal with, but Uchiha can't move. It's not that he is jealous of Uchiha, but Kirigakure is not doing anything with Cloud Shinobi Village right now. Between countries, how can there be credibility at all? They surrendered yesterday, but today they may call. Even if you can retaliate wantonly afterwards and make the other party pay a more painful price, the Kingdom of Fire may not necessarily win. Third Generation can't do much about it either. There are really not many lightning-style ninjas in Konoha. After some conversation, Kyochi left the camp. He has not slept all day and night. However, there is still a person hanging behind. Kyochi, Kyochi. Jiraiya trotted over, grinning. Seeing Kyochi stop, he leaned closer and asked in a low voice, Little Kyochi, did you get your information from Rain Shinobi Village? Kyochi nodded slightly. Are they all right? Have you never seen it? Jiraiya sighed and nodded slightly. Kyochi was a little surprised. Jiraiya has been to the north for more than half a year, and Yahiko and the others are only a stone's throw away, and they have never visited the 3 of them. He didn't know what to say for a while. After a long time, he said, they are all very good. Hanzo appreciates them very much and treats them like disciples. That's good, that's good. Oh, Jiraiya sighed. To the north, he has been collecting information about Iwagakure and Cloud Shinobi Village, so he has no time to meet Yahiko and the others. Later, he heard that Yahiko and the others followed Hanzo. Then there is no need to go, it's just that there are still some worries. Don't worry too much, maybe they can really make a career. Kyochi continued to walk forward. Jiraiya, you are fine, so don't disturb me and go to sleep. Don't you want something to eat? Wake up and eat. Land of Earth. After receiving the information, Onoki became paralyzed for a while. 4 elite teams. Just gone. And, most importantly, he also lost a batch of ninja tools, detonating charms, and military food pills, which are now Konoha's things, and these things will fall on Rock Shinobi's head in the future. Is there anything more irritating than this? Even though he was calm and strong, he was coughing again and again with anger. Why did they Mist Shinobi technique? What does Kirigakure say? According to Mist Shinobi, one of them got caught, so that the ninjutsu information was leaked. Huang Tu said from the side. Onoki's face was gloomy. Leaked. Playing a fool. Who doesn't know the rules of Kirigakure? It is really possible to be caught. The living will kill their teammates and then commit suicide, leaving no information to the enemy at all. For so many years, other ninja villages have not caught many Mist Shinobi alive. Result, fighting against Konoha, just happened to be caught, and then took away the ninjutsu? To be honest, he didn't believe it. Also, according to Carrie's information, it is mentioned that Huoguang's wounds seem to be left by some kind of big sword, a bit like Kirigakure's beheading sword. Huang Tu continued to report. Onoki was stunned for a moment after hearing this. Isn't this the knife of the 7 people? So now it's just suspicion, there's no real evidence. Huang Tu nodded. Onogi sat there, thought for a long time, then sat upright suddenly, and said, "Tell me, is there such a possibility that the ones who were arrested were those of the 7 swordsmen?" 7 swordsmen. Huang Tu was shocked by his father's guess, and then he didn't quite believe it. 7 swordsmen. That is the top ninja that Kirigakure has trained for many years. According to Konoha, none of Sanin went to the east, but a few little-known guys. Can such a lineup catch the 7 swordsmen? How stupid that is, they are wondering. At this time, a rock shinobi from outside ran in. "My lord, we have received a summons from Kirigakure Anbu. Bring here." Ono immediately ran over and took the information scroll in his hand. On this day, they were all looking for mist shinobi Anbu of the land of Earth, killed several of them, and finally forced Kirigakure to send the information. He unwrapped the scroll that Bird Bundle had brought. Some are outlined above. There is a strong person in Konoha, and he destroyed all our strategic plans. Talk halfway, right? Onoki tore up the note, took a deep breath, and finally pointed to the Lois and said, "Send someone to negotiate with Mist Shinobi and ask them what they want." Yes. Konoha is uneasy about playing cards. According to Mist Shinobi's information, Onogi has reason to suspect that the 7 swordsmen were really killed by Konoha's people. If so, the price Rock Shinobi pays. Otherwise, Iwagakure may have to die more people to gather intelligence on this person. In the future, the normal 2 changes will be adjusted to 8 AM and 8 PM.